the tape, bro. Run 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 the tape, run the tape, bro. Run the tape, bro. Run the tape, bro. The tape. UGA game day, boy, we ball out. Pull up, put the whole conference in the doghouse. Leave them 6 feet, see me on the win streak. All-star status, go coach, and the bench deep. Offense on 10, how we run it? Your best ain't nothing, we gon' send them boys punting. Black and red, got them dead on arrival. Defense hunkered down for the tie. Hey, you don't want it with the dogs. Found guy on it, you don't want it with my dog. Break it down, play by play, that's the day-to-day. They know we ain't come to play, boy, it's UGA. Kirby smart, I cannot play the fool. Back to back, we did not come to lose. Back to back, like we got something to prove. Pay your dues, dog nation on the move. What's up?
We doing a little bit different around here.
We ain't come to play, we ain't come to play. Shut up and grind the tape.
The tape, the tape.
We ain't come to play, we ain't come to play. Them dogs in your face.
Let's grind.
We ain't come to play, we ain't come to play. Shut up and grind the tape.
Shut up. Let's grind.
We ain't come to play, we ain't come to play. Them dogs in your face. Shut up and grind.
Let's grind.
Run the tape, bro. Run the tape, bro. Run the tape.
The tape, the
Shut
tape.
up and grind.
Let's grind.
Run the tape, bro. Run the tape, bro. Run the tape, bro. Shut up and grind. Run the tape, bro. Run the tape, bro. Run the tape. Shut up and grind. Run the tape, bro. Run the tape, bro. Run the tape, bro.
Shut up. The tape.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to MBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about, and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What's up? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome in to the Film Guy Network on a fabulous Tuesday evening. I got to tell you what, I don't know what it was. I didn't plan to talk about this to open the show, but I just got like a little inkling that I've got season vibes. I don't know if it's because we're in a routine. The boys been around together for a couple weeks together. Like we've been in a routine together. It feels like we're close to the season. Now, we're like 75 days.
Yeah.
80 days.
Something around there.
We're getting there. We're inkling ever so closely to the college football season, but it feels like, we steadily working around here, and we got another loaded show for you guys again tonight. We got the College Football 2026 Hall of Fame ballot to talk about tonight. It was on the show notes last night. We're bringing it back tonight, as was our Year 3 rule. Don't know if you're new to the network. If you are, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, we have a Year 3 rule in college football with regards to coaching. We're going to tell you a little bit more about that tonight. The SEC potentially becoming a league of its own, a guy with a lot of expert analysis in the regards to the business of college football making such comments today. We're going to talk about that as well. Are there any quarterback battles left in the world of college football? That got added to the show notes late because I think it's worth talking about, right? We're nearing the end of the summer, where we're nearing SEC media days. We're nearing Big Ten media days. It's about time to start naming the face of your football program entering the season. A couple of big programs still yet to do so. But I want to start the show tonight by asking you to hit that thumbs up button, but really with some nostalgia, because, boys, I think there are a few things better than sitting around with the boys and playing a little game I like to call, hey, you remember? For example, hey, boys, you remember that time Chris Davis returned a 109-yard field goal back to beat Alabama, clinch a BCS national title berth for the Auburn Tigers?
Stop the three-peat.
That was pretty cool, huh?
That was one of the greatest days in college football history, in my opinion.
There was another good game going on?
There was plenty of good. I think people forget that the Ohio State-Michigan game ended in a failed two-point conversion where Michigan would have upset number 3 Ohio State. Didn't happen. Then you had the 3:30 kick of Georgia versus Georgia Tech. Georgia was down like 20 points in that game, came back to win in double overtime. Then the Auburn-Alabama game, obviously, to stop a three-peat from happening. And then the 7 p.m. nightcap was Missouri versus Texas A&M. A Johnny Manziel-led Texas A&M went down to the wire. They won that game to clinch the East. Missouri did.
Now, I'm sure other sports have this, but there are so many things that went that way for that game to end that way. Like, for example, Alabama had missed several field goals in that football game.
Yep.
And then Saban pulls the freshman from Calhoun up off the bench who won a state championship game in Georgia with, I think, a 58-yard field goal and lines up for a 57-yard field goal, misses it by an inch.
Before that, initially the time ran out in the ball game.
Yeah,
Nick
and
Saban had it reviewed,
and
he's fighting for the second back
second.
on the clock, gets the second back, and ends up costing
I totally
him the game.
forgot about that part too.
Yeah.
I mean, the last like 10 seconds of that game took like 20 minutes because I remember we watched but I was watching the Georgia Tech game and my family was like, oh shoot, the Iron Bowl is about to go to overtime. There's 3 seconds left, and we watched TJ Yeldon run the ball out. It took like 20 minutes for that game to end because they spent so long reviewing that to get that 1 second on the board.
And there's a lot of great radio calls, and RIP to Rob Bramblett. I mean, him and his wife tragically passed in a car accident, but that radio call from that moment, I mean, it encapsulated everything. It was perfect. Now, I haven't gone back and listened to the Bama call recently. I would imagine that doesn't sound as chaotic. But this one, there are so many peaks in that call that are just so legendary. The color analyst hitting the, oh, my God, in the middle of it is legendary. We found out listening to it today, not only does he hit a, oh, my God, but you can hear a second one. And you can't hear it clearly because he's very obviously taking his headset off, going to absolutely lose his mind. He continues to come back to the microphone about 50 seconds later, only saying, oh, my God, again, because it was nothing but an oh, my God moment. There was also the moment where Bramlett hits the, Auburn's going to win the football game. There's just so many great calls in that moment. That's a tremendous play and college football moment.
And the portion in the call where it's very clear that he is about to black out from screaming
Yeah.
for the entire
circle's closing
109 yards, where it's like you're getting super lightheaded, you can't see anything.
By the moment he hits the dismount of they're not going to be able to keep him off the field tonight, he sounds like he has a whole ass frog in his throat. There is no doubt about that.
Definitely running low on oxygen.
Oh, yeah. About to pass out.
I think another one that doesn't usually get enough credit, Appalachian State's field goal block against Michigan. Michigan was like the number 1 team in the country at that time of the year. So like an insane upset to begin the season. One of the more iconic plays. One of the first plays I remember consciously watching as a kid and being like, oh wow, feeling the moment of that way.
I don't think there's been a smoother scoop and score in the history of scoop and scores.
It wasn't a scoop and score.
No, but he picks it off the foot, and as the ball's bouncing, he picks it up full stride and takes it to the crib.
No, he didn't.
On the blocked field goal, doesn't he?
He didn't score. He got tackled.
Oh.
But it was
but it's a great scoop, is what I'm saying. On the run, ball bouncing, give me that.
Yeah.
Not as good and as favorable as bounce as like the Alec Ogletree play.
Yeah.
That thing just like magnetically fell into his hands.
Yeah,
It
like
was insane.
he ran into that ball.
This guy actually had to scoop one. Now, Caleb Downs' scoop and score this year was nuts. That dude picked one up off his shoelaces.
Yes.
No bounce.
Yeah, you don't
That
ever.
ball was rolling.
You don't ever realize how hard it is to do that running full speed until you do it.
Until you try.
And then you look foolish
Or,
most of the
or
time.
worse, fall on your face.
Yeah.
Like, I guarantee you the average Joe falling on your face. Ball rolling, not ball bouncing. Ball rolling, really, really hard to
Very
pick up.
It's
on a
the
run.
equivalent of being in the outfield in baseball and you go
No.
to scoop a ball up.
No.
Listen.
No, you got 14 inches on a glove.
Exactly. That's even more of a reason why you should never miss it. And then you have to turn around and run to the entire fence just knowing everybody's like, what an idiot. That guy sucks at
you're talking
baseball.
about that. I thought you were saying the ease of it or the difficulty of it. Way harder to pick up a football that's rolling on the ground than have a glove on your hand.
I
pick
agree
up
with
a
that.
Baseball.
Same feeling, though, of
Yeah.
ball rolling to the fence because you just missed it.
Oh, shit.
Dang, I got to make this run now.
No doubt about that.
Do you remember the he's trouble with the snap, Michigan State versus Michigan?
Oh, yeah.
Tom Luginbill had like 17 the most egregious voice cracks.
The stories in this are great because obviously there's the voice cracks, the call is iconic. I went back and looked at the game log for this game. Michigan State had 8 drives in this game that either ended in a punt or a turnover on downs. Michigan, 8 drives ended in a punt or turnover on downs.
Actually.
Michigan was completely shutting them down for most of the football game.
Big Ten football, baby.
Yeah.
I showed you a clip the other day of Kirk Ferentz taking a safety up 6-2 against Penn State. Now, he took the safety on a 4th and 7, Kirby, okay, to make the game 6-4. How much time do you think was left in that football game for that coach to make that decision?
How much time should have been left? Less than 30 seconds. How much
Right?
time was probably left? Like 3 minutes.
How about 8.5?
Jesus.
How about 8.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter?
I've also never understood the let's just take a safety
I mean, sometimes
You're giving them the ball immediately
Mathematically,
after.
sometimes it makes sense to do so with almost 9 minutes left in the football game.
Yeah.
They won it
But
6-4.
How does it
Absurd.
How does it make more sense mathematically to do that than just give them the football?
I think
Because you're risking a punt block that goes back for a touchdown
Okay, they
instead
scored.
of a safety.
Okay, that's fine. They score a touchdown, but then you're still giving them the football back plus 2 points.
But if
I've
there's
never-
30 seconds left, mathematically they're not going to move the ball down in a scoring
And you're
position.
getting better field position for your defense as opposed to getting a really good punt. They still might end up on like the other 40-yard line.
Speaking of giving it away, hey, remember that time that Michigan was like gifted a 4th and 1 that was like obviously noticeably short, and for some reason they marked it forward. For those of you that don't remember, this is a pivotal 2013 Outback game, and Jadeveon Clowney took such offense that he murdered a man on the next play.
This is the definition of ball don't lie.
Oh my God!
Oh my
Like
God.
Definition of football, ball don't lie.
I mean, the announcer
We see
even
this in
called it too.
basketball
He's
all
like,
the
South
time.
Carolina deserves to have it, and they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like just the prime example of ball don't lie.
My favorite part about that play is I, to this day, believe Jadeveon Clowney is going to scoop that ball up with one hand and take it off to the end zone if his teammates aren't spazzing out.
Oh.
His teammates are spazzing
He
because
picked
of
it
the
up like a
hits.
Nerf ball.
Like a Nerf ball. Like an avatar with like 3 fingers, like from the tip, not like middle of the ball. Like grabbed the tip of it and scooped it up into his elbow. And like I said, his teammates are trying to celebrate so much because he just murdered a man that they tackle him basically.
Yeah.
Or else he's definitely taking that back to the house. What a play.
Do you guys remember that 2015 Arkansas Ole Miss game where Ole Miss is in the driver's seat to win the West, and Arkansas is like it's like 4th and 17. They throw a hitch route, and the guy throws it 20 yards downfield.
Is this Hunter Henry?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes,
Running
it is.
back picks
and
it
Alex
up.
Collins, right?
Yes, R.I.P. Alex Collins picks up, converts a 4th down, eventually forces overtime where Arkansas wins. One of the craziest games I've ever seen.
Man, they were Lane Kiffining before Lane Kiffin was even there.
Ooh. Who was the head coach at that point? That was Hugh Freeze, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that would have been Hugh Freeze's time.
Shame here.
Or the scapegoat Matt Luke. One or the other.
How about the famous Lamar leap?
Oh, yeah.
This was like for me. I just like watching this game because this was one of the rare occasions.
Man,
it seemed
basically,
like,
it wasn't even a lead. It was like a toe touch over a dude.
oh yeah, and it was a great football game. But on top of that, like this is what I remember. I was like remembering thinking like, oh, he just won the Heisman. Like that. That's what that moment felt like. We always talk
that was
about
like week 2 as well.
I know,
It
but
was
it just
early.
seemed like that. Like that was a great football game, and the fact that it was.
I thought he won the
remember
Heisman
loving that
after he
game.
put up 63 on a top 10 Florida State.
There were
team.
probably multiple Heisman moments throughout that year.
Lamar Jackson was fun to watch back in the day.
Yeah, he
dude.
was. I was fascinated. I was covering the NFL draft at that time. It was like way back. This is before I got my start covering Georgia. And I just remember being fascinated with the discussion of real smart people, or at least people that we thought were smart at the time, talking about him playing anything other than quarterback and saying that he was like unable to throw from the pocket. And he made big time throws at Louisville from the pocket, I thought, the entire time. It wasn't just all the flash. There was a lot of flash. But you don't win a Heisman and throw for 3,900 yards without a lot of work from the pocket.
And he obviously made
If
a
that
lot
hits 3,900 yards, I am flabbergasted.
3,600. You're close.
but he clearly made a lot of conscious efforts to advance his in pocket passing
For
throughout
sure.
that.
For
So,
sure. You got one?
Other than that, like I feel like that's probably the two that stick out to me.
Hey, boys,
most.
you remember that time Miami lateraled like 27 times
play
on
that
the final
should-
kickoff of the game to beat Duke?
Should not have counted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably shouldn't. I watched it today. There were, first of all, 8 laterals in that play. Fun fact, top 5 name in terms of like, really? Corn Elder? Corn Elder not only catches that kickoff, but is also the last one in the lateral to catch it and score. I think that's pretty cool about that play. There's also multiple blocks in the back. There's also multiple forward laterals. I think it was one of those, and we've had many of these moments in college football where the shit was just so cool that the Zebras just looked at each other and was like,
Yeah,
I
like
guess we're going to let that go?
like
We're
being
going to
a,
let that go, right?
like being a referee, probably like you're so enthralled and like this shit's still going. Like, oh wait, I probably should call some penalty.
It was just a reminder to me that Miami's been doing this shit for a long time. It wasn't just this past season where they've been gifted these moments. Like it's been happening for years.
My favorite part about that
is this
call,
retribution for the Ohio State call?
probably. My favorite part about that call is the very beginning, the first pitch, the play announcer goes, we saw them practice this on Thursday. I'm like, wow, bro. Manny Diaz was out here. Bro, he thought he was coach of the year after that. He was like, we definitely worked on that.
I told the boys on Thursday.
It might come down to the old schoolyard bullshit.
You know what's another one that doesn't get talked about enough?
What's
2015 Florida State, top 10 team. They're tied with Georgia Tech 16-16. They're going to kick a game-winning field goal. Field goal gets blocked. Georgia Tech returns it for a touchdown. One of those like underrated plays. I felt like no one really talks about it as much. I don't think it was on a top 25 list either.
Was that one of those seasons though where Florida State started in the top 10 and then ended up fizzling out towards the end of the year?
This was the latter years of the Jimbo Fisher era, where it was like, and you could point that back to being like the start of the downfall.
Yeah,
for them.
I mean,
like they were undefeated at that point.
Y'all remember that time Ed Reed stripped his own teammate to
I
return
wasn't-
a pick for a touchdown?
I wasn't old enough to watch it live, but I do remember seeing the highlights of it.
So when my mind remembered that play today, I thought it was like, oh, obviously the big D lineman's getting tackled. As he's getting tackled, Ed goes over there, rips the ball from him. No, Ed Reed was very clearly making the decision as soon as that guy breaks into open field, I'm going to strip my own teammate. And then he returns it for a touchdown. Other really cool things looking at that video, that AstroTurf, my God, that was basically a piece of carpet that they rolled out there over concrete slab. Dudes were out there playing in like, you know those baseball trainers they give you for team issues? I don't know if y'all play baseball, but they have like turfers that you play with. That's what dudes were playing football with out back in the day. I know we got some older heads in the chat that are probably going to recall that time period of football, but that was nuts.
Yeah, I'm glad I skipped that era of football.
I do too. That probably would have been crazy. Speaking of other remembers, y'all remember that time Teddy Bridgewater almost died?
Yes.
Dude,
John
yes.
Bostic murdered him
This is
in a bowl game.
another prime example of just like pre-targeting football, to where guys were just running through heads down.
Ooh, you think that one was bad? Speaking of pre-targeting, we watched one today. My man Reggie Brown died. My man Reggie Brown died against Auburn one year.
Yes, he did.
And it was so bad that like he's like unconscious on the field. And this is such an era of football where the PA announcer's like, that's so-and-so had an illegal hit earlier in the game, but that one's clean there.
Like the blatant
There's a
target.
dead body on the field.
Like there is a man unconscious on the field right now.
And it was worse because, typically they end up falling on
You
their
were
back.
introduced to this today. weren't
Well,
you?
reintroduced,
We're reintroduced to this
But
today.
yeah, the fact that he was facing down on the ground and not moving, like it literally looked like,
There's a dead body on the field.
yeah, someone had just.
Matt Ryan died one time.
Yeah, he did.
I don't remember that one.
Oh, boo-hoo.
I mean, I've probably seen
Matt
it.
Ryan got moited
I mean,
at Boston College.
That clip is like the definition of Matt Ryan's career of like, I just got to put my life on the line for us to win.
Have you ever seen the Tom Brady clip where he gets murdered on the sideline?
Yeah.
Very akin to that.
Oh, okay,
Except
okay.
he takes a direct spear to the sternum. Yeah. Back when spearing was cool. Allowed.
Back when Edge was still in the WWE.
Facts. WWF at that time. Yeah.
No, WWF ended in like the late 90s.
No. WWF spear. The spear football. WWF.
Okay.
WWE, total different. Start targeting.
What?
So we have a theory around here. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. We have a theory around here that by the third year of your coaching career as a head coach at any given school, we know who you are, or at least we think we are. History tells us that you're either going to reach what you're going to be or you're not. And Dabo checked this box. Kirby checked this box. Nick Saban checked this box twice. Okay, there's a lot of football coaches in years prior. Ryan Day's probably not this. Okay, he didn't win a national title within 3 years.
But he had successes.
But
Like,
he was having success.
you win the
within
Big
3
Ten
years.
and you go to the playoffs.
Yeah. Dan Lanning has reached 3-year checkpoint. Okay, Steve Sarkisian has checked this box within 3 years, right? You get the point. Within 3 years, you should have built the program up to a winnable standard if you're going to be that guy at that program. So we've got some football coaches that are already or are up for the year 3 test. For example, Kenny Dillingham has already passed the year 3 test, has gotten Arizona State to a winnable rate, already made a playoff in year 2. Jeff Brom, we believe on this network, has gotten Louisville to a you're winning at the highest rate Louisville provides. We think you're good there. Jeff Brom checking that box. Did so already at Purdue, by the way. That's why he's at Louisville, his alma mater. Barry Odom checked this box at UNLV to the point where he's now at Purdue. Okay, some coaches who have already failed the year 3 test. We have already cooked Zach Arnett at Mississippi State.
Yeah.
We have already cooked Ryan Walters at Purdue. I cover college football for a living. Did y'all know Ryan Walters was a coach at Purdue?
No.
That's on me. Did you?
No.
Did you, AI? AI didn't even know. What? AI didn't even know.
I can't name one Purdue player other than Aiden O'Connell right now.
I didn't even know he played at Purdue.
What's your card?
Oh, QB Whisperer. I should have known that. That's right.
He was a Raider too. That's why.
Troy Taylor been fired at Stanford, and show legend Biff Poge already been fired at
canned.
Charlotte. I think it was a mutual disagreement. I'm going to go back to managing my wealth fund that's worth, I think, $100 million.
I do miss the takes last year, though. Biff
Yeah.
Poge did give us a lot of good content.
The content that Poge provide, man.
R.I.P.
RIP. So
his
let's talk
career
about some guys who are heading into year 3 that's still up for debate or discussion, rather, with whether or not they've checked this box. Starting with a local program here in the state, Brent Key with them yellow jackets. I'm not calling them blue jackets. With them yellow jackets. What do you think about Brent Key heading into year 3? Where's he at? Is he one at the rate where we feel good about Brent Key at Georgia Tech?
You definitely
would
feel like
say
Georgia
so.
Tech's in the right direction, especially like having such a hard time getting out of the Paul Johnson era. Like it feels like Georgia Tech has its own identity once again, and especially with what they did last year. Like there were some ups, there were some downs, but you take a playoff team, a Georgia playoff team that you haven't beaten in 7 seasons, to 8 overtimes like that, and should have beat them honestly. Like you
5-0 at home. Get them boys the rings.
Yeah, I mean they beat a top
true.
5 Miami team. Like they got rings.
Beat a top 10 Florida State team.
I'm shocked they didn't put almost beat
They
Georgia
were
on
ranked
them.
that when they beat them.
That was on the ring.
It was on the
We
ring.
can't make fun of that 2-10 win. That was on the ring.
Yeah, the rings question.
7-5 championship rings. You know what?
7-6.
I'm down with it. 7-6. I'm okay with
You're
it.
down with it?
I mean, you got to have something to commemorate the season, and you got FU money, so yeah, just go ahead and get the boys
Yeah.
the rings. I'm sure, who's that company that comes by and gives you your school rings?
Jostens.
Boston's. I'm sure they give out you cheap rings. I mean, shit, this one couldn't have cost but a couple, $75, $85 at wholesale. You know what I mean? You print 150 of them bitches. They can't be that expensive.
Put it on a T-shirt or a poster then. Don't make freaking rings.
Nah, not as cool. Not as cool.
Yeah, because it's not cool.
It ain't real bling.
Well, I
It ain't
know.
real diamonds.
Surely none of them are actually rocking them.
Yeah. Well,
You
I
can't
don't
be,
know.
you can't be rocking that.
Nah,
man.
you rock that when you put the suits on. That's about the only time you wear a
Come
championship
on,
ring.
man.
That
Well, I was
dude's, I don't think you ever fire Brent Key for one reason. He played there. He loves that school. He's never leaving.
And
Yeah.
the
So
fact
he's
of, like,
there. He's like, you're good. Brent Key forever.
And you had the experience with Jeff Collins or Geoff Collins. You had that experience, and you saw. And look, I know he was coming after the Paul Johnson era,
was
so that's a
tough.
really tough time
Ball
to
knowers.
build that program back up, to completely renovate a roster. Basically, is what you're doing with that. But I mean, he's had more success at that program than that program has seen in a long time. Even if it is. No,
I mean,
I don't think old
glamorous.
Geoff going to get another crack at it, but that was a tough run for him.
Yeah,
right
it
there, man.
was.
That was a tough spot.
when they were like, they're lifting before the game. Like
he was trying everything.
They
man.
were-
May or may not have seen old Geoff on my coaching tour. Yeah.
Oh,
Still rocking the coffee mug. Not Waffle House, but he's still rocking the coffee. It was like 82 degrees, sun out, just hot the day I was out there with him, and he was rocking the coffee mug.
Some people
Nice
love
guy.
coffee, man.
Nice guy, knows ball. Who's next? We're good on Brent Key, though.
I'm
Yeah,
good
I
on
think
him.
he's
Like,
good.
he's checked the box he's passed year 3 test.
He's past
already.
it. He's not. It's not like he's accelerated like a Nick Saban or a Kirby Smart has, but he's fine.
What if he turns a 6-6 this year?
They'll start raising some questions about him.
Okay.
I mean, you turned 7-5 last year.
I think
It-
we're
it
like,
de-
ooh, are we going down? We're mediocre. We're flatlining.
It depends on if there's if in those 6 wins there's a top 15 upset.
I'm gonna tell you
or-
right now, if they're on their path to 6-6, Aaron Philo is already starting.
That's true.
That's the other thing. If you're not watching Georgia Tech football, which most of you guys probably aren't, they got I think Aaron Philo's a dude. I think Aaron Philo's gonna be an NFL football player. I just don't know when he's gonna take over that spot of Haynes King, because Haynes King's a great college football player, but Philo's gonna be a dude in the NFL, I think. Up next, Matt Rule. Now this is a guy who's put his own year 3 thing on the line. He's done said it. I turned it around at Temple within 3 years. I turned it around at Baylor within 3 years. I'm going to do it here at Nebraska.
You would think that it's trending that way, I guess. We can all agree that Nebraska took a step forward last year from where they were, but how big was that step? How monumental was it? What are you gonna? Did you put yourself in enough of a position to take another step to be a top 25 team this year?
Did they, though? Because, I think people forget that it's not like Scott Frost got fired for being 3-10. Scott Frost got fired for losing close games and being 7-6, didn't he?
The one score game man himself.
I mean, look at Nebraska's game logs from last year. Are they still not losing one-score games, just in a different fashion?
They lost to Illinois by a score. They got killed by Indiana. They lost to Ohio State by a score. They lost to UCLA by a score. They lost to USC by a score. Lost to Iowa by a score. It's the one-score thing, yes, but
I think what we're looking at is Scott Frost got shitty PR and he got good PR. Also, Scott Frost did that in the Big 12, and you're doing this in the Big 10.
They did start 5-1 though.
And actually, Scott Frost was doing that in the Big 10 West, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can't be doing that.
Yeah, no,
no,
it was a lot of we lost to Northwestern.
No.
Damn,
You've
boys,
gone too
Northwestern
far.
got us this week.
Yeah,
It's more important.
Yeah, Northwestern got us in Ireland that one time.
Yeah, I can't have that. Can't have that.
It's more important that Nebraska sees where they have placed assets to where they see benefit. They benefit from those. Like Dylan Raiola, he's going to be going into year 2. You got Dane Key on the roster as well at wide receiver. They made some moves on their roster this past offseason and obviously have recruited specific players where you expect them to take steps forward. You have to see that this year because not only is it year 3 for Matt Rule, but it's also multiple years now.
I want to do this because I did this to you yesterday in the studio. We didn't get to talk about it during the show. You think Matt Rule's bar for success is 10 wins?
This year?
I'm just talking about if I ask Matt Rule, what does a successful
Oh,
season
okay.
in Nebraska look like? It's 10 wins. Would you say?
I'd say probably 8 or 9.
Because his bar for it would be to make a playoff, and to do that in the Big 10, you got to win 10 games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Easier to win 10 games at Temple or Baylor or Nebraska,
Baylor or
right?
Temple.
And Temple. He did that at those. I think it's easier to do what he did at Temple and Baylor than to do what he's trying to do at Nebraska. Does that make sense?
It's definitely going to be a more elongated process.
I mean, it's way hard. It's going to take way longer to close the gap on Ohio State and Michigan than it did to close the gap on whoever he had to close the gap in the Atlantic and close the gap on whatever there is a gap in Big 12. There's not.
Well, I think right
in the
now
Big 12 there isn't a gap. There never has been. I
Yeah.
don't think.
And I
Even
think
when Texas was there.
I think right now the priority is close the gap on Nebraska or close the gap on the Iowas and things like that. The second tier
they've done
teams.
that. They've done that.
That's what I'm saying.
They've got to close the gap on. They got to pass USC.
You want to
Or
be
close the gap on
and
USC
again,
maybe.
And to his credit, lost to USC by 1 score, lost to Ohio State by 1 score, lost to UCLA by 1 score, killed Wisconsin. There's proof of concept there that the gap is closing. They're no longer just getting smashed by all these. They got killed by Indiana, but it's also you hold the national championship Ohio State team to 21 points, lose by 4. That's a pretty good season for you.
Yeah, I think that their goal should be not exactly a blueprint of what Indiana did last season, but that's what you want to try and be. Is you feel like you're on the outside looking in, but you somehow find a way to get into the mix. Now, the only difference there is that Nebraska needs to sustain that. It can't just be a 1-year blimp on the radar, and that was it, like a one-trick pony. It has to be all right, now we have arrived. Close the gap on a school like Penn State, who we say is the third best team typically in that conference. That's what you need to try and chase down.
Boys, is Luke Fickell cooked?
Yeah, I think Luke.
We're entering year 3 at Wisconsin. I'm the guy who year 1 on this show, going into year 1 of Luke Fickell in the Big 10.
By the way, Justice Fitzpatrick just shut down his commitment, so I'm going to write that.
Appreciate you. That's good news for the University
Good
of Georgia
job.
right there. Told you. Well, we talked about that last night. Ain't nothing to worry about there. Anyways, what were we talking about?
Luke Fickell.
You're talking about Luke Fickell year 1.
Yeah, I remember him going into Wisconsin year 1, and they were still in the Big 10 West, and I verbatim on this show said, I think Luke Fickell could coach a Division II roster in the Big 10 West and win 7 games.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. And
He coached that Wisconsin roster in the Big 10 West to a 6-6 record, I think, year 1. Not great. It wasn't great last year either. And what baffled me about Luke Fickell, and I wish Luke, and we'll never be this show because we say things like this, which means coaches will never come on here and ask questions like this. Coach, what in the hell made you go from a very balanced offense with Desmond Ridder at Cincinnati, like no gimmicks to it, like pro style almost, but out of the gun? I think they mixed in a lot of pistol from what I remember studying them, to being like, oh yeah, I'm going to air raid this bitch. Like, you've never been an air raid guy. You're a defensive-minded football coach, by the way, and you're going to take over the air raid, a total different system change. That was weird to me. Also, you dominated with an odd front defense at Cincinnati, played 3-3-5 with a lot of cover 3 behind it, and then you get to Wisconsin and you don't do that. If you would have told me, leaving with Cincinnati, that Luke Fickell was basically going to change everything about himself as a football coach and going to Wisconsin, I'd have said, yeah, probably not going to work out. Weird. Yeah. Totally, I adopted a totally different philosophy as a football coach at a bigger job, where I would argue it's harder to air raid, way harder to air raid in the Big Ten to win at a high level of football than it is to win it in the Atlantic again, the AAC with Cincinnati. At the time, they were a mid-major school.
I feel like the timeline is really unfortunate for Luke Fickell because, like, for example,
they gave him the Venables fake raise, by the way, fake extension. They gave him the Finch.
Yeah. Do you think though that if Fickell knew that college football was going to be what it was today, and Cincinnati, of course, was going to go to the Big 12, do you think he stays there?
Well, he's an Ohio guy, right? He played at Ohio State.
That's actually a good question.
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Because, like,
you would have been, well, I thought Cincinnati was going to roll into the Big 12 and do good things, but Scott Satterfield, we're going to talk about him in a second, ain't necessarily off to a good start out there in the Big 12.
Plus, it's
not really.
It's not only just running the air raid too, but you're running the air raid with Tyler Van Dyke. Like, that's who we're trusting to throw the ball 40 times a game and win us football games. That's very questionable to be. So it's not only the fact that that's what you're trying to implement, you're going away from what you were at Cincinnati, but the personnel that you're using it with just doesn't quite make sense to me either. But like I said, I kind of do believe that hindsight 2020, I think Luke Fickell would have just wrote it out at Cincinnati.
Speaking of Cincinnati, Scott Satterfield entering year 3, currently 8-16 at Cincy. That job might be open this fall. Speaking of which, Brian Hartline, automatic hire.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. Right now, June 10th, 2025, on the Film Guy Network, Brian Hartline will be the next head coach of Cincinnati. It just makes too much sense, right, boys?
Yeah, and that's kind of why it's like, is it going to happen? But at the
also,
same time.
little subtext here. Brian Hartline definitely like fake interviewed, like I'm just going to do it to get my feet wet in the interview process at Toledo last year. I just got the inkling this is going to happen. But it's got to go decently as an OC this year.
Yeah, you can't have Ohio. You can't have Ryan Day say, "Give me the keys."
Or maybe you could. Maybe you could, and you could just go into Cincy and be like, "Hey,
you want good receivers?
You're bringing. You want to recruit? I got you, baby."
Yeah, can't have Ryan Day to tell
also,
you to hold
if
the
you're
light
Cincy,
still.
you can't say no to Brian Hartline after Scott Satterfield flamed out, can you?
I don't think so. I mean, you're certainly in less of a position to do so.
I just think that's a decent little tinfoil hat. Get in there early, way early. No one's cornering that one. How about Hugh Freeze? Speaking of the corner.
We've talked about him, I feel like, more than any other year 3 coach.
Hey, you got to win 6 games this year.
If that's the benchmark.
Hey, we got to go bowling.
That's it.
So print the headlines, print the shirts. Eli Drinkowitz style. Auburn got to go bowling. Says your head coach, who you pay $9 million a year to.
6 wins, that's all we need.
Maybe 8.5.
So, but, I mean, Hugh Freeze can say it needs to be 6 wins, but I don't agree with that. I don't think any of us agree with that. That the benchmark for this roster this year should be 6 wins. I think they're better than 6 wins.
Now, if in those 6 wins you beat a Georgia or an Alabama or whoever else is going to inevitably in there, a top 15 opponent that they play, people might kind of start believing in you. The problem with Hugh Freeze is not only has Auburn been really bad, they haven't had a signature win since he's gotten there. They got really close to beating Georgia in 23. We all know what happened in 23 against Alabama, the gravedigger, but there hasn't been the signature Hugh Freeze win that is needed to kind of build the momentum around the program, in my opinion.
Let's just hypothetically say he goes out to Waco to start the season, and my man Sawyer drops $500 on the head top. My man Sawyer Robinson and them Baylor Bears just run amok on that Auburn Tiger defense, and they lose by 2 scores.
Not a good start.
It's going to be very ugly.
Then they get Ball State, South Alabama.
Okay.
Winnable.
Mm-hmm.
Well, except those
They should win.
several times they've lost mid-major home games under Hugh Freeze.
Yeah, but that's
there
the
is
Diego
that.
Pavia thing.
There's that. At Oklahoma, at A&M, back-to-back. Oh, and then we get a bye week, but we welcome Georgia to town.
Okay.
Do we see 8 wins in this schedule is what I'm trying to do.
8 wins,
Yeah.
no.
Because that's apparently chat says, fan base says 8 wins mandatory. Missouri, we'll give you that one. Arkansas, we'll give you that one.
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky, we'll give you that one. Vandy. At Vandy, look, I'm not buying 2 years of competitive Vandy. Are you?
No.
I'm just going to
2
go ahead
years-
and get that one out.
2
I'm
years
not
is-
buying 2 years of competitive Vandy. There's no way.
I'm buying 2 years of scrappy Vandy.
You are.
Scrappy Vandy.
Watch out for Vandy.
but see-
2 years in a row? You think that's possible? If it is, Clarkley's out.
This is why I'm not buying.
I know he played there, but he's out.
This is why I'm not buying it, because I think that what benefited Vanderbilt the most last year wasn't the fact that it was one of their better seasons and they had better players. It was the element of surprise almost. The fact that nobody was expecting Vanderbilt to be this scrappy football team that could upset Alabama.
To get to 8-4, Auburn absolutely 100% has to win these games. Baylor, Ball State, South Alabama, Missouri, Arkansas, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, and Mercer.
Typical SEC school playing Mercer.
That's toss-up games at Oklahoma, A&M, Georgia, and Alabama. That's doable. That schedule's not that hard. I'm with the Auburn fan base. They might be demanding 8 wins. Basically, what I just said is, Coach, you have to be able to beat Baylor, Kentucky, and Vandy.
Better do it.
You better be able to do that. And Mercer, excuse me.
And
You
see,
better be able to do that.
that's kind of what I was going to get at your point, Kirby, of like, let's say Auburn does beat Georgia and does beat Alabama this year, but they win 6 games. They go 6-6. That also means that there's a high likelihood that you also lost to Kentucky, or you also lost to Vanderbilt, or you also lost to
can't do
Baylor. And we just watched an Alabama football team that beat Georgia, that beat LSU last season, but none of that mattered because you lost to Vanderbilt, and then you also got the crap beat into you by Oklahoma.
Honestly, Kirby, you hit something there. He has no signature win. That's
yeah,
crazy.
no,
to
that
me.
is.
He doesn't, and that's kind of what
Like,
you've
you didn't
always
even put
needed.
the boys together for one good run.
You almost
You
had
two,
him.
2 quarters against Georgia?
Yeah.
I mean, you were beating him in the fourth.
Oh, yeah, he had everything but the Hail Mary against Bama. He had them boys.
He beat. I mean,
yeah,
he beat
did.
Bama.
you should have beat Bama.
Yeah.
You should have beaten Bama, dude.
Yeah.
A 4th and 32, and you lose that game. Like,
Yes.
that's the defining game for Hugh Freeze right now. It's like we're that close, and we never.
Couldn't even blame a bounce of the ball on that one either.
Yeah, if he goes 7-5 with like a random inexplicable loss to a Cal, or like he did last year, or to a, for God's sakes, Ball State.
Which is why you might. I think it's why he's out here going like, bowl game, everyone. We just need a bowl game. We just need 6 wins.
Crazy to me, a coach tempering expectations like that.
Yeah.
I understand it, but I don't. I don't for the life of me. Normally, we're talking standards, national championship standards.
And it's weird because, like, if you look at Auburn's roster, it's not like they have these massive holes anywhere. Like if you go look at the roster, to me, it's like that's a good, solid SEC roster. Outside of quarterback is still kind of a question because I don't love the Jackson Arnold move. Like, I don't think that's a guy that's going to walk in and elevate your roster. We saw how that went at Oklahoma, and then. But once you get past that, it's Deuce Knight, and that's another story, though. But heading in this year, I feel like everything else around that is pretty solid.
All right, we saved him for last because there's a lot of news around him right now. Deion Sanders entering year 3. And I guess we don't even need to talk about whether – has it been a success? Have we already – like, from a financial standpoint, it's a win.
Deion Sanders is the exception to this rule because as
Yeah,
long
it's
as
not even about
Colorado is always
Meaningful.
in first take and
Yeah.
all those things, you can pile together
Does
a
Colorado
500
football
record.
matter? Check. The box was checked out there, Colorado. We're not talking about Colorado annually demanding 9 wins.
No.
That's not what this
I'd
is.
say the fact that Deion Sanders is still the head coach of that football program makes that a win.
Well, that's the news. He is currently not with the team, an undisclosed illness. And I guess we can leave it at that.
But write it down in an envelope and put it.
The take?
We'll save it for later.
Is this another retirement take?
No, this is might be in give us
We don't even have to.
maybe sit on this one for like a month.
Oh.
Maybe even longer.
We
Maybe
going
even
to tee
longer?
the season
Give-
off with
give-
the Deion Sanders take?
Give this a year. Let this bake for a
Let this
year
bake.
before we go. All right, we were right because It's a touchy subject. Obviously, we wish Deion Sanders the best health, but you could raise some eyebrows around it in certain situations. And I don't think you should because we don't know anything right now.
Especially when it comes to health concerns.
Exactly.
I mean, man had a foot, toes cut off. He's
Yeah,
obviously had real medical concerns in years prior, but we're still in a retirement take. Okay, it's going to go up on the board.
Are you tacking it up the
Yeah, I'm
board?
going to tack this one on the board. I think we lost the last one.
Oh. Don't worry, I remember it.
It's on the board. We'll get to that one day, maybe. It's not my take either. It was texted to me today by a listener who actually, I shouldn't give too much info away. It'll give his identity out. Long-time listener. First-time take theft. Guys, there's a Hall of Football Fame or a Hall of Fame list coming out. There's a ballot. Y'all want to play ballot games?
Let's play ballot games.
We get nostalgic on this one. What I think it would be hard is if you made it like only 10 guys can get in. And I think there are 10 surefire Hall of Famers this year on the ballot. I'll go down the list. Des Bryant, Aaron Donald, RG3, Percy Harvin, Mark Ingram, James Laurinaitis, Kellen Moore, Cam Newton, Monte Te'o, Ndamukong Suh. I believe that's all of those guys' first years on the ballot, and I think those guys are guaranteed to be Hall of Famers.
What's the parameters to getting put on the ballot?
Normally, every other ballot's like 5 years after retirement. So it can't be Laurinaitis' first year.
5 years after like retirement from the sport in general?
Yeah.
Because
maybe, yeah.
Cam Newton hasn't played in college in 15 years.
So it might be 5 years post-retirement.
Maybe? I don't know.
Surely Cam Newton has not been on this ballot very long.
Oh,
this
no,
has to be first
I mean, this is
no.
first ballot.
I know
That's what
for
I'm
a fact
saying.
it's Aaron Donald's first time on
That's
the
why.
ballot.
That's why I'm kind of confused because it's like
And he hasn't been retired for 5 years.
No. I don't know when they put these guys on here. That's a great question. And I don't know if you're going to find an answer to it. I don't even know if AI's got an answer to that one.
Yeah, AI might not have the answer to that one.
I don't even know when you get put on the ballot. What do you got?
It says, AI got it right here. It says 10 years after the last college football season.
No. 10
Interesting.
years.
So why wasn't Cam Newton on the ballot 5 years ago?
It's a great question.
That's like what took y'all so long?
Maybe they had to close an investigation.
That could be it.
Maybe it took 5 years to close an investigation.
That could be.
You know, there was a daddy might have taken some money situation there.
This is true.
Scam Newton.
They were going to
jerseys
say
on
the
Bear
nickname
Bryant
Scam.
statue.
The nickname Scam Newton wasn't unwarranted.
Correct.
There were some speculations, allegedly, but no. I mean, Cam Newton obviously first ballot Hall of Famer.
Who just said that? What are y'all talking about?
That's AI, bro. What are you talking
We
about?
have it.
We have
Mom,
artificial intelligence built
mom
into the studio.
installed AI in the basement. It's
Yeah.
pretty sweet.
Thanks, Mom. Shout out to Ma Dukes there.
Yeah, I mean, Cam Newton, obviously, this had, like, first ballot.
You know who's still on the ballot?
Who?
I didn't even realize this until I looked at it today. Taylor Mays was a 3-time All-American at USC. You remember Taylor Mays?
Really?
You might be too young for Taylor Mays.
I don't know.
I didn't
Taylor
watch-
Nobody Google Taylor Mays.
Taylor Mays is like a pro. He looked like the Fox NFL logo.
Taylor Mays looks like the football. Yes, the Fox player logo is
Yes.
a great pull. I was going to say the guy you create on NCAA when you jack the muscles all the way up.
Look up like Taylor Mays, USC.
I could have sworn Taylor Mays was going to be the greatest safety in the history of professional football, and boy, did he flame out. My God. What do you think of Taylor Mays' photos? That dude's jacked.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Just looks like a classic early 2000s
Kirby,
safety.
You're hip to the performance enhancers, I would imagine. Do you think that was a possibility he was on some shit?
That is definitely
And
a
when he got to the
possibility.
league, the testing was a little bit stiffer, and he couldn't take the shit no more.
Well, here's the problem with that theory. Brian Cushing existed like 10 years after Taylor Mays.
That's true.
And Cush
Kush
was on that shit.
Kush might have invented horse tranquilizer.
Maybe, dude. I
Yeah.
don't know. So maybe, I don't know. Like, there's also just like some skills don't translate as
Yeah.
well. Like we've knocked on Pac-12 football.
How is
also.
Richard Seymour not a college football Hall of Famer?
That's
yet?
something I've also like. You're an NFL Hall, and maybe his college career just wasn't that.
He was a one-time All-American, I think.
I mean, he had a great Georgia career,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like the meat of his career took place when he was in the NFL. So maybe that's what it is.
Jonathan Vilma.
Also, I don't remember Vilma personally from college, but obviously a very, very
yeah, I just know him as a saint.
prominent.
Yeah, same thing with Marshawn Lynch. I mean, we had the one clip of him running around a cow, but it wasn't on the cart. But it wasn't like you remember Like, I don't, as a child, remember Marshawn Lynch clips at Cal. Do y'all?
Yeah, but I don't remember Aaron Rodgers clips either.
Well, he played there a year after coming from community college. So it wasn't like he was a lifer at Cal. This dude spent 3 years.
That's true.
Building a real draftable record there.
Me?
Yeah.
Let me put you on game real quick.
Thanks, man. Sorry. I'm
You guys working over there?
trying to work while we're working on air.
Eric Weddle, Utah.
Again, Noah mostly first time on the Chargers, one with
Yeah.
the Rams. Didn't really watch him at Utah. Wasn't he a
Simeon
part of that?
Rice was a 2-time All-American.
Yeah. Wasn't
Still
Eric
in the
Weddle a part of that undefeated Utah team that beat Alabama that one year?
That means he would have been playing with Steve Smith, and I don't think that's the case.
Maybe, I don't know.
Right? Didn't Steve Smith win a bunch of games at Utah?
Yes.
Wasn't he on that undefeated
I'm
team?
pretty sure it was 2009 when Utah went undefeated, or 2010, the 2010 season maybe. Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Oh,
Who else is on the list?
Fooger's in the chat. Shout out to Fooger. He showed back up. Daily reminder that the SEC runs through Texas.
Oh.
I think I'd remember that more. No.
No, finish it.
I was going to say, I think I'd remember that more with the $2 you usually send us. It might help emphasize the $2.
Yeah.
Come on,
Yeah,
Sugar
you're
Daddy.
right. You're right. I shouldn't even point to that until he pays for me to point to
Yeah,
that.
I feel like I remember Texas a little more.
It would, you know what? It would be befitting of that Longhorns football program to have to buy their way into this conversation.
That's crazy. But no, hey, look, this is the national hour, guys. All are welcome. We encourage everyone to join in.
You're right. Shout out to Fooger.
Logically speaking, however, how does the SEC run through Texas when Texas has been in there 1 year and yet to win the conference?
No, Kirby, you're falling for it.
I'm just asking a logical question.
Yeah,
I'm
wait
not
till you
getting,
see Arch Manning. That's the response.
maybe. I'm not getting emotionally involved in that. I would just like to.
Hey, we're on SEC topics. We might as well talk about them becoming their own league.
Yeah,
This is nuts.
very interesting quote for multiple reasons.
You have a take, it sounds.
Well,
Oh, by the way, we bypassed the take today.
I know. We'll circle
We're
back. I was going to
circle
remind
back
you
on
about
that?
it. Yeah,
we're going to save that for the end.
let's
Because
definitely
that's a
circle
pretty
back.
big name to have a take about, and I'm excited to
We
hear.
both kind of had a take on it.
I mean,
can.
damn, that's like a historic football player to be out here anti-ing.
I teased the take, and then Kirby, pun intended, that you'll figure out later, hit a home run with it. In my opinion.
Oh, okay. So we got a take at the end of this national hour that's gonna hit real home. But apparently the SEC is becoming their own league. This comes from, I don't even want to read. This is real reporting. Some awful announcing,
So like
but it's real reporting.
awful announcing does do real reporting sometimes.
Correct.
It mostly is known for
Especially when they're just reading quotes.
yeah, this is a direct quote. That's why I
Okay.
put it in here.
All right. So this comes from Lynn Perna, who is the CEO of Turnkey ZRG, which I'm going to give you information on in just a second. He was appearing on the Varsity Podcast with Puck's John Orand. Lynn Perna described what he predicts will be the future dispute over collective bargaining with college athletes. The result? SEC schools competing in one league, everyone else competing in the other. Here comes the quote. The schools in the SEC have a lot of politics wrapped around not bargaining with a union of student athletes. There's a lot of history around right-to-work states and the boards of those SEC schools, Perna told this podcast. I don't think that the SEC will ever really be comfortable with collective bargaining with college football players, but I am very confident that schools in the Northeast, the Midwest, and all throughout the Big Ten regions and out West will land on collective bargaining as a way to create a package of work rules that govern the transfer of talent, the transfer portal, a salary floor, a salary cap, all of the things that create competitive balance in pro sports. I think that schools in the Northeast, the Midwest, and the West will wind up playing in one league that has collective bargaining, and schools in the South will play in a separate league that won't have collective bargaining. Now, a couple of questions I had right off the rip. Who is this guy? Who is this Lynn Perna guy to be out here saying these things? So I did my own research on Lynn Perna. Lynn Perna, as I said, is the CEO of Turnkey, which appears to me to be a search firm from what I can garner off of their website. because a lot of these really rich companies have these websites that don't tell you a whole lot of stuff, but they got these real flashy words like this one right here. Since founding Turnkey, Lynn Perna has successfully managed over 1,400 executive searches. He quickly established Turnkey ZRG as a leader in the space, known for its professionalism, confidentiality, and tremendous hires. Lynn Perna is an expert at understanding organizational culture, fit, and blending personalities. He regularly presents at sports awards ceremonies and speaks at industry conferences. This guy helps teams find out who they're going to hire next, is what it sounds like to me. So he is worth the salt. He's worth the salt with regards to talking about college sports. However, my next question, apart from who the hell is this guy, my next question is, how in the hell do you think college athletes are going to unionize? That's my biggest question.
That's been my biggest question.
Collective bargaining requires unions. You miss me when you say college athletes are about to create a union.
That's what I've always questioned about when it gets brought up about how there's going to be collective bargaining between players and that there's going to be a union of players when it's just not. I mean, hell, you can't even get MLB players to like completely agree, or for the MLB and their players to agree on anything without there being a lockout every so often. It's like you think that an entire country of 18 to 22-year-olds collective bargaining and create a union for themselves is just going to happen and go smoothly. And no, there's just no way.
Which, by the way, the foundation of that is going to change it's constantly interchanging, and the base of it will change every 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, that's what my whole thing. You're telling me a group of 18 to 22-year-olds are going to unionize first and foremost. Also, the nature of that union is to recycle its members every 4 years. At best, by the way. That's like safe projections. Saying an average college football player 4 years doesn't account for two people. The guy who leaves early and the guy who quits, which, by the way, is a whole hell of a lot higher than you imagine. Okay, because we're not talking about just Georgia. We're talking about the nature of college football as a whole, which every year, I would say even like a program, a Division I program like, let's say, Western Kentucky. I bet Western Kentucky has one or two guys every year that just up and quit football. They just don't play anymore. Mm-hmm. I know for a fact it happens. So, yeah, the idea that these guys are going to unionize, it's crazy to me. But this guy should know. This guy, again, this guy listens to this right here and says, that guy's an idiot. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
My question with this, and what I was wondering when I read this quote, is surely he's not saying that it's just going to be the 16 teams in the SEC are going to say, we have our own league now, we're going to compete for a national title. That's not how I took it. I figured that surely it would include other teams saying, we're going to go join the SEC in this, and we're going to go join this SEC league.
I want to talk to a lawyer who knows more about right-to-work states. There's a lot of history around right-to-work states and the boards of those SEC schools. The idea that they would be against collective bargaining because they are right-to-work states. I graduated with Master's of Business. I don't know shit what he's talking about. He's talking about Spanish to me. That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't trust AI to look it up either.
No habla español.
No habla nerd talk. That's the way I look at that.
Oh, it's basically where employees can't be required to work to join a union.
Okay.
Like, you're not required to be union.
Yeah, we don't have unions down here.
Mm-hmm.
Not normally. There's the electricians union here in the state, but that's about it. Unions do exist a whole hell of a lot more up north. That does check out. Mr. Perna is right in that aspect.
It makes sense. It makes sense, but it also doesn't make sense. I feel like there's a lot of assuming that.
And it's the lines of work. We don't have a lot of factories down here, do we?
I mean, there's a good amount of factories. Not as many as like your Northeast and your Midwest. But
I figure most unionized labor forces are in factory industries.
For the most part, yeah. I mean, you've got like the Actors Guild too, but
man, who would have thought you'd have to know about all this shit when you're talking about college football nowadays?
Not me.
I had this conversation with somebody the other day. I'm like, I'm honestly, sometimes I'm glad I went to business school because the business aspect of college sports has never been merged more than it is right now.
It's could not be more clearly a business nowadays, but it always was. It's just we've pulled back the curtains enough on things to where college football athletes are employees now. College football is a business. It's all about making money for your school. That's why you get guys like Bill Belichick and Deion Sanders in there to where it's just about bringing in revenue from the sport. Now, winning is a large component of that, and obviously for most schools that's the most important thing, but As long as the bottom line's good, you'll be fine.
Man, so that would basically take everybody from – that would include Clemson and – it's like all the southern schools as he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
If South Carolina is a right-to-work state, then they might avoid this and just stay in whatever super league this creates. That'd be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think would have better football? Everybody in the South banding together,
Everybody in
or
the South
everybody
banding.
else?
Everybody in the South. Some of the best recruits up
Yeah.
north are from the South.
That's true. But they could still leave.
They could. but
That would be maybe this product down here gets worse because they're playing in a collectively bargained sport.
maybe.
As a Southern athlete, you would want to leave and go play in that other league, wouldn't you?
I don't know.
We're getting into the weeds with this.
I know.
I did not expect this type
I
of
know, but
discussion.
this could be a real conversation in like whenever,
Yeah.
several years from now. I
honestly, I don't think we're ever going to get to a point where the SEC's
it's quite a headline though.
where the SEC says I'm taking my ball and I'm going home, because we've seen time and time again different leagues, different teams, different groups say we're going to be trailblazers in this and do our own thing, and it never works out. Like the Pac-12 does not exist anymore because they were trailblazers in the way that they handled their TV rights deals.
Yeah.
Obviously did not work. So I don't believe that it's necessarily going to be something we really have to worry about, but definitely keep an eye on it.
All right. Floor is y'all's.
Do you want
I'll
to open
preface
this?
this
Let's-
because
I mean, this guy's on the wall. This guy's such a big-time college football superstar and historical figure that he made the wall.
Okay, so to explain how this all played out, so we were reading up on this list of the 25 best plays since the year 2000, and ESPN polled all their writers, and there were 25 plays put on this list, and one of the plays on here was the jump pass from Tim Tebow and the Florida Gators. And they have these videos implemented in all of them, so you get to rewatch all the plays. So Kirby and I are talking because we're talking about how we're going to go about writing the articles for this, who's taking what, whatever. And I said the jump pass being on here about made me throw up. And I go and watch it, and I'm like, this is the most overrated play in college football history. It's a better play call than it is anything else, but the actual play itself, it's just okay. Like, it's nothing fantastic.
It requires such little skill.
I was
that
going to say
tight ends do it now.
I was
in
gonna
the Wildcat.
I was going to say, like, it's one of those plays where looking back at it, like, you hear the old adage, oh, I could have done that. I truly believe right now in my current physical form, anyone in this room could have done the jump pass.
Even AI.
Yeah.
Even AI could have done that.
He don't even have arms or legs.
He's not real.
You don't know that?
Or a gender. I shouldn't have even done that. My bad, AI. That's on me.
We're kind of really pulling back the curtain on that
Yeah, I
one.
know. My bad.
We cooked this bit. Shit.
Yeah. First night, cook the bit.
Abort.
No,
But no.
just let it hang.
So
yeah.
me and Jay Will were bantering on that, and I was like, you know what? He's right. Let me rewatch this. And rewatching this again, it is not an impressive play whatsoever. Tim Tebow made so many other great plays that should have been there, and it kind of got me thinking and down the rabbit hole. I was so bewildered by how unimpressive this play was, to where it made me think. I had a knee-jerk reaction to this of, was Tim Tebow overrated? Now, before I did that, I want to before I give that take, I want to make sure I re-educated myself. So I watched probably every single highlight video you can find of Tim Tebow. I'm talking full drives, complete games. I consumed probably about 2.5 hours of pure Tim Tebow media today while I was working and writing to make sure that I was spot on with giving this take and I was coming from a true place of understanding. And here's what I came up with. Tim Tebow is absolutely a college football legend. You could feel his passion, his love for the sport through the screen. I mean, I was transported back to 2008 and 2009 as a kid watching him. For God's sakes, he won 2 Natties, he won a Heisman, he broke numerous SEC records. He came back for another year when he didn't have to in an era where leaving after 3 years was more popular than ever. He had moments like the promise, the Oklahoma locker room speech, the Florida State first down where it looks like he's covered in blood, but it's really paint. Like, he is a legend, period. I'm not questioning that. Now, after watching that 2.5 hour films, though, there are some criticisms, though. He had a very elongated release that would almost exactly be a much bigger problem today than it was back then. He didn't layer the football very well. The caliber of athletes that he was playing against were very different. I mean, prime example of this, his teammate, Brandon Spikes, a second-round draft pick in the NFL draft, ran a 5-second 40. So athletes were a little different back then. And my God, defenses did not know what to do with quarterback power back in the day. I mean, you would think a wrapping guard and a lead blocker was the new invention. This was also about the time when the Wildcat got really big in the NFL. So it made sense as to why Tebow was having success. So here's the conclusion that I've come to on Mr. Tebow. I'm old enough to remember watching him. Most everyone in this room is old enough to remember watching him and certainly holds him in a high regard, and they should. He was a legend for his time. But we're also in an era where basically every college football player on a roster this year wasn't even in kindergarten when Tim Tebow was playing college football. Some were 2 years old, which is why we're about a generation or two away from Tim Tebow getting a Babe Ruth treatment. Now, what the Babe Ruth treatment is, for those who don't know, when a player's legendary stats is recognized, but their athletic abilities are diminished. Now, I'm not saying that should happen, but Michael Jordan played with plumbers. Babe Ruth would suck today in today's MLB. Muhammad Ali would get knocked out by any heavyweight in this class. We've heard it all before. I think pretty soon the evolution of fans is going to turn into Tim Tebow was a glorified tight end that could throw really far. Is that correct? Probably not, but good luck convincing the next generation of college football fans that's not the case.
Boy, you're not gonna like watching Gunnar Stockton play football.
That's what I was about to say, and that's what also my point was. Where's Gunnar Stockton on these top 30 rankings this year of quarterbacks? Where's Gunnar Stockton in the hype train or whatever? Like now, Gunnar Stockton is a smaller build than Tim Tebow, but a guy that's not afraid to run the football, will stick his nose anywhere. The team builds around him, has fiery passion, loves the sport, no drama. All this has an elongated release that we've talked about. Like a lot of comparisons from Gunnar Stockton can be drawn to Tim Tebow 15 years ago, and no one's really high on Gunnar Stockton right now. So now I'm not saying that Gunnar Stockton is Tim Tebow, but I think that history is not going to be kind to the athleticism of Tim Tebow, which is unfortunate because watching him, like I said, living through it, he was a larger-than-life character. But the people that didn't watch that aren't going to understand, and he's probably 5 to 10 years away from someone going, yeah, but Tim Tebow, he was just a slow tight end that could run over a linebacker and throw really far.
You get enough Miller Lights and the right dog fan, they already got that take.
I mean low-key.
I think that the take is being misinterpreted of it's not disrespect to Tebow because it's not discrediting anything Tebow did.
I mean, Babe Ruth is
it's not saying he's not worthy of being considered one of the greatest college quarterbacks of all time or diminishing anything he accomplished at Florida or anything like that. He's still one of the greatest of all time in college football. But it's not crazy to say that 15 years down the road, if Tim Tebow was implemented into college football today, could it have looked different in his career? Yeah, I mean, it absolutely could have because, yes, people do it with athletes all the time.
Look, Tim Tebow, again, legend. He played 15 years ago, and it shows.
I don't know. The whole take makes me feel uncomfortable.
I understand. And look,
you can make an argument he probably should have won 2 Heismans.
You could.
Sure.
You absolutely could. And
you
again,
could argue Herschel Walker needed 3.
Like, I'm all for his touchdown records bullshit. All of them were 1-yard tutties. Like, I'm all for the hatred, but we love football and we love college football.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we love. And there are a few people who exonerate exude college football more than Tim Tebow.
I hope I displayed that in my laying of this out.
Yeah.
He is one of a kind in that regard and will forever be held as someone and deserves to be held in that regard. But there's going to be a group of kids 5 to 10 years from now that go back and watch Tim Tebow highlights and go, that's it?
That guy?
That's who we said is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. That guy sucks.
To that extent, that's a disrespectful young teenager. That kid sucks.
But it's the same argument as Michael Jordan played with plumbers.
No, it's not. That's still like mid-'80s and early 90s. There were still real you mentioned Brandon Spikes. Like Brandon Spikes went on to play 5, 6, 7 years with the Patriots and won a couple Super Bowls. I'm pretty sure. It's not a bad football. It's just a different era of football.
Exactly. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Different.
That's what I'm saying though, and the idea is that he's not going to translate well, and probably wouldn't. But that's going to be a criticism used against him, which is the same that gets used for Babe Ruth, Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky gets this sometimes. Like any legendary boxers, but they get smoked by anyone in today's. So it's where we're headed.
Brooks is a LeBron simp. Don't talk to him about the GOAT.
I can tell you, we've had discussions off air that he's kind of waning off of that.
Yeah, we're fading on that. You keep faking injuries when you lose, buddy. You keep showing up after a knockout loss with the ice pack on the knee, limping to the microphone, and I'm more apropos to lean on my daddy's side that keeps calling you a flopper, bro. That's unfortunate.
Now you're getting accused of saying Larry Bird's a plumber.
Again.
Local hour.
The people talk, man.
Local hour. We got a whole other hour coming up right now.
Welcome into Talk the Dog, the show where we find a bone to pick and a take to give. These are not hot takes. These is dog takes. Can I talk that dog? What's up? You like that? You really like that? Let's shut up and grind some tape.
Of all the fan bases, and look, I've gotten cooked by them all. I've gotten cooked by Ohio State fans. I've gotten cooked by Texas fans. I've gotten cooked by Tennessee fans, Michigan fans, all of them. The worst fan base to have in your mentions talking reckless, Florida Gator fans. Florida Gator fans act like we can't never find your IP address. You know what I mean? That's how they talk on the internet. So I hope they find that clip.
I'm fine.
I hope they do.
Look, I was fully
It's
willing.
good for engagement. It's going to run them numbers.
I would say I'm fully willing to stick my neck out on that one. That's how. And again, I am one of these people that loved Tim Tebow. Even as a 7 or 8 year old kid, a Georgia fan watching that, hating him, you couldn't help but admire the way he played the game.
No one called me fatter than Florida fans, and no one hit me quicker with that guy looks like a L word quicker than Florida fans.
Ooh, you got the allegations thrown your way?
Yeah.
Oh well.
I think we might have just peaked engagement farming because not only did we say Tim Tebow sucks, but we also hit the LeBron versus MJ debate.
Oh my God!
And it's just flooding the chat right now. What else can we say?
You know what next? Taylor Swift. Congrats on buying your own music.
Oh. Now you don't want me to give Taylor Swift takes.
Anybody got a Belichick, Jordan Hudson take stored up anywhere?
We can give Taylor Swift takes on here, but this isn't a music.
The Swizzler?
podcast.
Do they call her that?
The Swizzler?
Yeah.
They call her. I mean, their fan base is called.
Who was with
Swifties.
me in Dallas that time? The Uber driver claimed he gave Taylor Swift a ride one time. Neither of you?
I don't think either of us.
Was that
were.
Matt?
Oh, that was SEC Media Days.
You
last
you
year.
told us this.
Oh
year.
my
Yes.
God. What a great story. Also a bold-faced lie. A bold-faced lie. Claimed she had a red wig on. Bold-faced lie. Just
Brother.
wanted some sushi.
Brother, I don't think that was Taylor Swift.
I don't think that was Taylor Swift. Local hour. It's going to be a great one. We have a potential decommitment, maybe brewing. Not really. Flippy floppy. We got some intel on that one. We got some tape to watch. There's a new rule in Georgia high school football that I'm excited about, certainly. It's going to make my job a little bit harder, but I think it's good for the sanctity of the sport. Gunnar Stockton, year one legend, triple question mark on the show notes.
Don't worry. Don't
Look
look
at me for that one.
I'm
That's me. That's
excited.
me.
Oh, it's you?
over
That's
here.
me.
I'm excited about it. James Cook news to talk about. And I got a George Pickens take. I've been culminating.
Let's go.
It's half-baked. She's rising.
Oh, even better. Engagement farming. We'll save that.
Oh, we're
later.
going to talk about
Yeah.
Rodgers, buddy.
Aaron Rodgers.
We're going to talk about Rodgers tonight.
YouTube is just like, they're hitting everything right now. What do we do? What do we do? How do we slow them down?
Peaking. That's what we're doing. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Like, subscribe, rate, review. Boys, about 2 hours before the show, On 3 hits us with a sliding scale majiggy. Brady Marchese thinking about flipping to Michigan. I text 3 Georgia sources. Same text. Is Brady Marchese flipping? First 2 responses. What you hearing? Third response. First 2 responses from the scouting department. You know, people kind of in charge, not necessarily on field. Next response comes from somebody on field. Handles like whistle every once in a while. Hey, definitely happening.
Huh.
That dude's flipping. He gone.
I mean, we had the decommits
Article ready.
prepped.
Nug don't send out. Nuggy nug. Got it confirmed. Buddy about to flip. So I send a text message to the person who confirmed he's flipping. About 20 minutes after I get the text message that he is flipping. Hey, just let me know if he changes his mind. Very next text message. He did. Back in the class. Go Dogs. Woof woof.
Has this ever happened to us?
To us?
Or just in, like, I'm sure it's happened in general, but I can't remember
I mean,
a time where it's like, oh, that kid's gone, and then 20 minutes later it's like, he stayed.
It very clearly seemed to me that Brady Marchese had made a phone call to the Georgia coaching staff. I'm gone. Very quickly made another phone call. I'm just kidding. I'm back. I'm a dog. All dog.
What do you
This
think?
wasn't like I'm shutting down rumors. This actually happened.
But not only, like, shut down the rumors, shut down the commitment after.
Yeah,
Didn't-
shut it down. I'm a dog.
What do you think happened in those
That's what I was going to ask.
45
Like,
minutes?
what happens in
goes
40
on there?
minutes?
I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe it became real once all the text messages, all the phone. Are you really flipping? Because what seems to me is he made a promise to Michigan's coaching staff. Michigan's coaching staff called Steve Whitflong. Steve Whitflong put the prediction out. Then this kid's phone probably started blowing up. Probably had to make the phone call to Georgia. Then he makes the phone call to Georgia. And then it's concrete. Like, this is happening. Oh, my God, I don't feel good about this. Let me change my mind while I can. Maybe that's what happened.
I mean, your guess is as good as mine on that, but it is very interesting to have something like this happen so quickly. Like, we've seen examples of, like, players testing the waters, like, oh, I'm opening my commitment back up, or I'm entering the transfer portal for 24 hours. But I've never seen a player be predicted to flip to a school and then within an hour say, I'm shutting down my
I haven't seen a player verbally flip back and forth this quickly.
Yeah, no.
I certainly
I guess
haven't.
because he took his Michigan visit first.
Yeah. But I just got back from he was on campus
Yeah,
at Georgia recently.
And that's what I was going to say is typically how this would happen is you go to Michigan on your official visit, then you flip to Georgia. You cancel your official visit to Georgia, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought it was weird. Like, he
Flip
was
to
just
Michigan,
in
yeah.
Athens, and now they're predicting him to go to Michigan. Like, maybe the timeline was he goes to Michigan. Oh, I'm going to Athens next weekend. I'll break the news to Coley. I'll let him know what's going on. Then I'm going to flip to Michigan that couple days after. That's what Michigan coaches thought, and then it went differently. I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, it's again. I don't want to like keep throwing out assumptions because one of them is probably going to stick and be like, oh, that's what happened. But it's a weird situation nonetheless.
I mean, it sounds like he's dog for good though.
Yeah,
That's good news.
him and Fitzpatrick.
Any 6 foot, 185 pounder who's running 10.6, you need to get if he's in state. So there's that. I want to watch some film. We've been delaying watching film for quite a while. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to watch Vance Spafford. We're going to watch Craig Dandridge. We're going to watch Brett Colajay. And we're going to watch Kamari Brooks, all mainlined back to back to back to back to back. And while we're over there, we also need to put Wheezy on the wall because he super subbed, or as we call it around here, super chubbed north of $20. So let's make sure we put Wheezy on the wall, and let's go grind some tape. What a beautiful day, man. Got to play a full 18 today, boys. It was
Must have been nice.
Cool. What
were you doing today, Kirby?
You got it so bad, man.
What was I
you
doing
guys, you guys got it so bad.
What was I doing? I just stayed home and worked. I didn't even go to the gym today.
Didn't even go to the gym today. You stayed home and worked. Man, golly, boss is just a bum, huh?
No,
Oh, yeah.
never.
Wheezy. I shot a 94. It was ass. It was
sorry.
absolute
That's okay.
ass.
Is that bad?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So par 72.
Yes. Thank you, Jay.
I mean, I was 8 over through 3. It was chaotic.
It's the least
from
amount
rolling.
of strokes, Kirby.
Oh, so the high score doesn't win in golf?
No.
All right, this is Vance Spafford right here. Ooh, good little release right there. Can we high point that football? We did. I like that.
Bro, what the hell is that?
I like
in the
that
way?
a
Is
lot.
Pen?
All right, so we know this guy's another 10-600 meter runner. He's a go-go gadget. He can go get it.
Oh.
All right, some juice right there.
Horribly thrown
All right,
ball.
first 2 clips. You know who this reminds me of? This reminds me of Anthony Evans' tape. Okay, Anthony Evans' tape in high school was filthy. Okay, Anthony Evans had like I'm a football player, not a track guy tape, which I love to see from guys who I know are track guys. It looked like there was some patience in that route. I like how we're high pointing the football
Very
so
much
far.
so. And by the way, like while you're on it, Anthony Evans' tape and skill set translated.
Yeah,
It just was the
no
other
opportunity.
well, that and the other stuff kind of
Yeah,
put him down on the bench.
boom.
I mean, I don't think he's caught a single ball off his body yet.
Yeah, no, we're high pointing things really, really well here. All right, I know he's got yards after catch, so we're going to see it right here, I would imagine. Yep, we're going to split those two guys with the angle. No, I would have liked to see some pull off on those guys with two angles right there. I'm a football player. I'm a football player. I like it. I like it. How do we feel about the drip?
Drip's good.
I like the drip.
I never was a quarter sleeve guy.
You're not a quarter sleeve guy?
I was never a quarter sleeve guy, but
Yeah, me neither. I was a sleeve up to the half arm guy.
I just taped the wrist like halfway up the forearm. That was me.
That isn't. You know who that looks like, don't you?
Do that again?
That pull off right there.
Let's see.
This release off the line of scrimmage. That looks like a very, very famous Georgia wide receiver. You saw it? It looked like Ladd, didn't
Little
it?
laddie.
I did.
Like body movements look like Ladd right there.
Can't even deny the allegations
Right
here.
That looks like Ladd McConkey running a post.
Yeah,
That's what that looks like.
The only thing that would stop it is if he didn't do a stutter step 5 yards in.
Yeah.
We'll get some screen game here.
Yeah, we're going to actually tunnel this, or we're going to take – yeah, we are.
I mean, that's –
Do we take this 90? No. Oh!
Whoa.
Physical at the end there. I don't know if the chat saw that. I think they did.
They closed in on that well.
All right, we got man-to-man right here. Get a good release off the line. Hey, I like this from the OC, too. This is a good call from the OC right here. All right, we're already into the boundary right here. Ball in the right hash, right? FOB, formation into the boundary. We're going to motion this man-to-man release, condense the set even more. And now guess what? We got all that room from the numbers to the pylon to throw this fade. That's a great job by that OC right there. Great release as well by Spafford.
Great execution all the way around.
Absolutely. Love that play call. I love how he keeps his head down early in the route, man.
Dude.
That first 12 yards of these routes are deadly.
That was Ladd McConkey.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Watch
These
this cut
12 yards right here, the body lean, how he runs the top of this stem, it looks like Ladd.
That stem outside was Ladd McConkey.
Was Brian Kelly at that game?
Bro, no way. You just did that.
I don't get the joke.
Go back and watch the tape one more time, man.
What am I missing?
All right. Watch it one more time, and I'll tell you when to pause it.
All right.
Play, and pause.
Oh, I get it now.
Bro.
I get it now.
That's the most out of pocket.
That is a crazy
That is
joke.
insane.
I think that one's pretty stable in high winds. All right. It looked like it had some solid footing. That was crazy.
I feel like everybody takes jokes at that.
I hope Georgia.
We're back to the tape.
I hope Georgia doesn't have to go to Death Valley at times because I don't think we're getting credentials.
I hope they hold on to this more and more. Watch this tape, man. This is good stuff.
See why Michigan wanted him.
Yeah. Well, this is Vance, not
my
Brady.
bad. My bad.
You're good though. This would be a USC concern.
Yes.
Now, I would like to see you crib this.
That safety's got such a good angle.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask is, I know he's expected to be on campus this weekend, so I guess, does that feel like the deciding factor in the recruitment?
Jonathan, what scares me is every time I bring him up, I had no answer, no response. That's what scares me.
Yeah.
Is like every time I ask, if I ask and they feel safe, they're going to tell me everything's good.
Yeah.
If I ask and it's a no response, and I hope they hear this because if they feel good, they'll finally say something. But it's multiple people. Hey, what do you think about this? No response. I ask them another question, boom, get a response. And it's like, why y'all ducking me on the Spafford stuff? So
Do you think that's probably because they don't know either? Or?
Yeah, or they're worried and they don't feel confident. I mean,
They don't want to put anything into the ether.
And Kirby, it's rare this staff doesn't feel confident about something.
Right.
This staff, the last 3 years, it's like, oh, we're getting everybody. And they don't always, but it feels like they do. So this is Craig Dandridge right here. All right, and you're about to see, this is 1,400 yards in 7A football. This is going to be electric, okay? This is going to be electric right here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, buddy.
Oh.
Yeah, buddy.
The Bears?
Hey, you know what's crazy? The guy we just watched technically has a faster PR in the 100 than this.
Interesting.
This is a 10.78 guy. That guy we just got done watching is a 10.66 guy, okay? So we're talking about a 10th in the 100. That's like 5 yards.
That's also a tailwind difference.
I know, but that right there is football speed.
I mean,
that's like I got real shit I can go.
Damn, bro. Is Cambridge like that now?
Cambridge threw for 3,700 yards last year. And by the way, this lefty, I wish I remembered his name. This kid needs to be on a roster somewhere. He was number 2 in 7A passing last year and throws it like this. We're going to see some great tape right here from this kid and a wide receiver's highlight, not his. Okay, Hudson, that's the receiver. Anyways, this kid needs to be picked up somewhere. All right. I mean, look at that ball. Look at this next ball right here, Kirby. This kid is unsigned, has nowhere to play college football. He's 6'2 and a half. Look at this ball.
Ooh.
Anyways, Craig's nuts. Craig has checked off every box there is. Okay, so here's the boxes in some of these processes. And we're going to high point this football.
Weston Taylor.
That's Weston Taylor. That kid needs to go play college football somewhere.
This is Campbell?
36 touchdowns last year.
This is Campbell. Or that's Centennial. That's Cambridge versus Centennial right there. Him in an end of a half situation against a Hail Mary pick sixing.
Good Lord.
Is what that is.
Pope.
All right, but anyways, back to Craig. So Craig is a box checker. And here's why I think this guy has vaulted himself into a must-have for a lot of football programs, okay? The junior tape is insane, right, is what we're watching right here. The junior tape's great. Junior production is great. So we're checking 2 boxes. Not only is there a high rate of production, the tape matches it, okay? All right, he goes in the spring and runs track and sets PRs, runs 10.77, 10.78 consistently. So we're checking a box there. You go in person and watch this kid at spring practice. He's dynamic as shit, making plays left and right, high pointing balls, making guys miss, goes to his spring game, balls out again in front of every SEC coach that's already seen him this spring. So, like, we're just bang, 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 doing everything we can to make sure we're a priority take at a lot of schools. I mean, we're outrunning camera guys, man.
He's one of those slow, fast runners where it doesn't look like he's moving fast, but he's gliding.
Wait till you see him in person. Because there is immediate suddency with this guy in person, too.
Oh, I believe you.
Yeah.
I'm
but
saying
you're right. There's an easy glide to him on tape.
Mm-hmm.
I get what you're saying. There's we call that the Ichiro quality around here. Mm-hmm. Where Ichiro's the fastest guy in Major League Baseball, but never looked like he was running. Same thing right here. I see what you're saying. But when you get up on it in person, there is a suddency to this football player. Again, with this cue, man, that is a bomb.
Wasn't a great ball, though.
No, it wasn't. It's Alpharetta. Yeah, we're flicking that thing, boy.
Great catch, too.
Love Craig's tape, man. This other wide receiver, this number 5 right here, this guy went for 1,400 yards or 1,200 yards last year as well. This kid
I
right
know
here.
the Bears were slinging
This
it
kid
like
right here
that,
in the
man.
slot. In 2021, this kid's at Clemson as a PWO. I guarantee it. All right. Now, he might end up P5 by the end of the year because he's already picking up a bunch of steam mid-major wise, but that kid's going to end up at Georgia Southern where several years ago, I'm telling you right now, he's a P5. The tape is phenomenal. Who else we got? We're going to watch some O-line tape now. We got Brett Colajay. I love this tape. All right, this is IMG interior offensive line tape. So the what do you call it? The pedigree or the profile right now for offensive linemen for Georgia in this class is you better play with your hair on fire. That is very obvious, right, by what they're doing as of late. They took the Graham Houston. They take the Zachary Lewis kid. Both of those kids are, I am going to block to the echo of the whistle football players. This is a little bit of both. This is, I'm going to block to the echo of the whistle, and I might be borderline blue chip prospect type of kid, okay? This is a 6'5"-ish, 6'6"-ish, 315-pound offensive guard from IMG Academy, and he plays the game nasty, okay?
He's got the touch of death.
Yeah, man. He plays, I love that, the touch of death. Yeah, this kid's got it. He's got heavy hands is what Kirby just said.
Oh, my, see?
He's got heavy hands, man. Got bricks in his hands. They must teach something the right way at IMG because all these dudes come out with heavy hitters.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's not like moving super explosively that would make you go, holy shit, but when he touches you.
But think about the interior guards this program has produced in the last couple of years that are exactly what you're just talking about. Tyler Booker, J.C. Latham are from this program, and they are like, I think Francis plays this way. Moaga from Miami, now I know he's a tackle, but he's got freaking lightning in his hands as well. You see that foot fire? Mm-hmm. Watch how he gets his base up underneath him right here on these next this next clip, okay, guys? Watch how we get 2 feet in the ground right here on this 3 technique, okay? Watch it. Bow. All right, and great pad level right there as well. We're in the right area of that shoulder pad, and we're going to drive to finish. I love that. We also know from IMG a couple of things. You're going to be clean. You're going to be well coached, okay? And you've also played high level of competition consistently. You travel around the country. You're ready to travel in a college dorm setting. You're ready. This is Bishop Gorman they're playing right here, I believe, or maybe the team from up in St. Louis that Luther Burden played on. I can't quite remember. But either way, they're playing dudes. Is that him pulling? Holy shit. What an athletic movement right here.
Let me see that.
Look at this right here, Curb.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. You know what I love about this? We kept our shoulders square as we're rounding that edge right there. Watch this, guys. We come around looking for trash. I think he's supposed to be the kicker right here. This is power. So he's looking for 19 the entire time. Watch him continue to run the pace of the angle right here as 19 works to go out and keep his shoulder square the entire time. Mm-hmm. That's delightful. And you're right, the death in the hands, man. Now, I know Georgia loves this player, and I think Georgia feels relatively good about where they're at right now with Breck. Boom.
Damn.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, did you see that?
Yeah, he laid on him?
No. Number 6, this was a classic move to do if you get pancaked. After they pancake, flip up really quick and try to kick him over.
Ah, yeah, get a gut shot with the cleats. You were a dirty son of a bitch, weren't you?
It was fun, dude. Bro, I was 190 pounds playing Mike.
I mean, we ain't got a glory day right now about Sequoia High School football, but I'm with you.
Talking about 190-pound Mike linebackers in glory daying, dude.
I'm with you. Kamari Brooks, edge rusher out of North Oconee High School. I think he's the number one priority at edge, and we're going to show you why. 6'5", 225 pounds. This is a guaranteed certified AAU hooper, Jonathan. This is an AAU hooper. So go ahead and do your thing. Yep, go ahead, do your thing. Go ahead, pull up his hoop tape because I guarantee he's got it. This kid's played big time.
You want it up there?
I mean, after we watch this, we can dabble. If it's good stuff. If it's good stuff, let me continue to talk about this. I think this was like high level. I play with are the Atlanta Celtics still a thing in AAU basketball? If it were, that level of AAU hooper was this kid. And then it was very apparent you're not going to be 6'9", but you are going to be a Division I offerable football player if you come play edge. So started learning to play football as he got into high school. This is not a lifer at the sport, I don't believe, okay? This is him playing off ball right here. Tremendous athlete. All the basketball athleticism remain. Now, for you Georgia fans, you should know this, okay? And I'm going to tell you if you don't. Guess who his outside linebackers coach is at North Oconee High School?
David Pollock.
Yes. Did you laid out because you knew and you were being a good teammate? That's good stuff right there. Yes, David Pollock is indeed his outside linebackers coach out there in North Oconee. Am I good to touch this screen now?
Oh, you're good.
Okay, here we go. Stand up out there, tremendous athlete.
He's blitzing. Or he's reading it.
Oh!
Whoa!
Whoa!
Oh!
Buddy just got hit in the throat with a foul wow.
Another touch of death, dude.
Scoot!
There's nothing.
This is state championship right here.
There's nothing more fun than surprising the pooling guard. Wow.
Yeah, dude.
Did you see that?
Buddy, he had like 3.5. I think he had 4 sacks in state championship.
Watch him make a conscious decision here to be, I'm not playing
I'm rushing
here. I'm just going to go get the quarterback.
Yep. Oh. I mean, you have 4 sacks in a state championship game against Marist, running the wishbone. You're kind of a guy.
Oh, he can
fly.
Buddy.
Yeah, buddy. He can roll. Boom.
Bro, no.
Yeah, he just put that one on there. Look at him staying outside leverage. I love that. Guys, so many young kids dip up underneath on this next rep. So many kids. All right, there's so many opportunities for him to play inside right here.
The end had a good reach step on him, too.
Yeah. I mean, like most kids right now are probably bailing inside, all right, and he continues to stay outside leverage and banana peel that thing. He played with his hair on fire in that football game. I mean, I'm sure he does every game, but this was impressive to watch first person up close. Damn. Now, what I don't know about right now is, again, because we're very, very young at the position, I don't know about our hand fighting skills. I don't know about our bag, if you will.
I was going to say, it hasn't had to use
Hadn't had to. I mean, we're just.
A lot of I'm going to shock you and just get past you.
Yeah, we're going to beat you with birth. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But I have no doubt about the athletic profile of this kid.
I was going to say, like, even if he doesn't have the best pass rush bag, he still projects pretty well as an outside linebacker.
Yeah, and as just a body, like a mover, right? I feel like so many times at this position over the last several years, they've taken the 6'5", 240-pound freak mover.
Like they've all had great tape. This is great tape, but they all have like certain things that they're missing, certain things that they need to add to their bag. This kid's got the pedigree, the physical. And here we go on offense. Are you shitting me?
Oh, he's cribbing. No, he's not.
Oh, he must have fumbled.
When the clip ends, really something.
Yeah, I always assume something bad happened. Yeah, we're just winning with traits right now, but I'm okay with it. You know?
Yeah.
We're going to get so many reps at this when we get, even before we put pads on. We're like, as soon as we get on campus in January, we're going to be doing one-on-one reps all day, every day.
And again, I would rather take a raw product like this than someone who's so technically sound and has a hand fighting already. You can train hand fighting a lot easier than you can just train pure athletic abilities to run through someone. He's setting up the basketball tape.
Is it good?
I think it shows it definitely shows his athleticism. I like it.
All right, Jonathan, come break down the hoop tape.
I mean, there's really not much to break down in this.
Some yams?
Yeah, there's a few yams.
We got some yams?
Yeah.
All right, that's the baseline. We got to at least get some yams. No basketball tape shown on this program unless there's yams.
Some of it is just I'm bigger than literally everybody, but there's also some you'll see it on this first one.
Uh-oh. That's him on the break?
Oh, God.
Dude, that's him on the break?
Yeah.
Wow. He is a really good
There's
athlete.
another one.
He's a great athlete. Not a really good athlete. He's a great athlete.
Does the same thing in football, too. That's awesome.
Let's go. Oh, good lay. Dude, I would be such a great ninth man on the bench.
You can't do anything about it.
I would be such a great ninth man on the bench.
Just clapping.
Yeah, man. Let's go.
I was on board when I was watching another one of his highlights for basketball, and he included a charge in the highlight reel. I'm on board.
Oh,
at that
yeah.
point.
He's
I'm
a
on board.
fundamental.
Feet planted? Got
Oh,
there
yeah.
early?
Oh, yeah. Textbook. There's another dunk in here, though. Here it is.
Right here?
I think. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's the best bunny we've had.
Yeah.
That's some elite, rapid acceleration in the air. It's off two, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
A little two-handed, a little two-bunny.
Easy.
Yeah, good football player. Priority, gotta have. Gotta watch out for Alabama. But I don't think if Alabama's got their teeth in them yet, they might not have them.
We did have someone ask a question via Super Chub while you're at the board.
Talk to me.
Comes from Charles Sharp. Kind of random, but why is Jeremy Bell talked about none? He seems like a freak athlete. Y'all seen that dunk video? ? Love the video love the show by the way.
None.
Who's talking about him? None. Now the national media is not going to hype this kid up because they're the national media and they can only pay attention to the big names. But Georgia fans know who Jeremy Bell is.
I felt like Jeremy Bell was the talk of spring.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, the Lord knows they didn't help this narrative either because Georgia was tweeting him out left and right. Every photo they tweeted.
And he
had
kind of
Jeremy
went
Bell.
off.
And
he went off. I mean, he went off in the spring game. He went off. He played well. Here's my thing on Jeremy Bell. Okay, we live in a no more. I mean, it's literally what we live in. We live in a salary cap sport nowadays. So if Jeremy Bell is playing this year for Georgia, that means you wasted a whole lot of money on Zachariah Branch. That means you wasted a whole lot of money on Dylan Bell. That means you wasted a whole lot of money on C.J. Wiley. It means you wasted a whole lot of money on Taylor Taylor. It means you wasted a whole lot of money on Colby Young. Okay?
You fix that.
There's a lot. Mine's still up. Now
This
we
one's
froze.
not on me.
Now we froze.
Kirby let the screen fall.
But anyways, and it would be a great story. And I'm saying if he's the best player, he's the best player.
Yeah,
There's no doubt about that. I am not saying you shouldn't play the best player. But if he is the best player, that means your scouting department has done not a terrible job, just not a very good job. Now, they've done a good job of finding the walk-on that came out here that was committed to Indiana that wanted to go to the University of Georgia. They did a great job there, but if he outplays the guys you spent money on, I think that's a problem.
I wouldn't necessarily advertise it as a huge problem. It's definitely like a red flag of, the lesser guy is doing better. That means something didn't work out. But we've seen this before. We see this all the time and we've talked about it. There's guys that outwork older, more veteran players that earn. I mean, the perfect example I think of this that would translate is Ladd McConkey and Jermaine Burton. Like Ladd McConkey slowly started creeping his way up into to the snaps to where it was Jermaine Burton transferred. And it wasn't necessarily like the Jermaine Burton experience was a massive failure for Georgia. It was just they got someone that was better.
You know
and they got
what?
the best
I should
11.
change my thought process on this. This is no different than Puka Nacua being so good that Cooper Kupp has to get traded.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I should think about this. Instead of thinking of, oh, we just wasted $700,000 on a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Because the walk-on who you're not paying.
Wasting $700,000 on a wide receiver would be getting that wide receiver here, paying him going.
Him being poop and no Jeremy Bell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Him being like, oh, well, this guy's not good at all. Like, if a player outworks another player, like, I feel like that's what you'd want at Georgia.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think he has talked about. I mean, Kristen Miller's talking about him on a podcast, saying how he's one of the freakiest athletes. He's the freakiest athlete on the team. So I think there's plenty of love for him. But
And I know why. This chat or the question's getting asked today. He got tweeted out again today, dunking over somebody.
three.
I mean,
three
he-
somebodies.
Three really tall people. So no, I mean he got bunnies.
It made it
There's
look
no doubt.
easy.
Look, and here's the other thing about this. We probably shouldn't be talking about how good Jeremy Bell is right now because other schools know how good Jeremy Bell is.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
Who's Jeremy-
That staff at Indiana
Dude, Jeremy-
has had people move elsewhere, by the way.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think Jeremy Bell's that good.
See? You're doing it right. Neither is Coulter Ginn. Colton.
Well, you just name dropped
See? I
another
don't
one.
even know his name. He's not that good.
Who's that one guy? Sucks.
Nailed it.
If he was worth the shit, he'd start.
Facts.
Just go play for Mike White.
They need a slash and dunker.
You always need a slash and dunker,
dude.
baby.
Yeah.
Anyone who can yam it.
Can anybody control the ball in the fourth quarter or the second half?
I pray to God somebody
Just a
can.
ball handler.
We're gonna
just one.
average 20 turnovers a game this
give
season,
me
but guys,
a ball
we're
handler.
gonna dunk the shit out of that.
There's a
ball.
new rule in Georgia high school football today. I got to pull up the tweet. It was sent to me. I got tagged in it multiple times. Give me 1 second. Let's see here.
But it's,
Stepdad actually sent it. Here it is. Breaking news: the GHSA will clamp down on transfers, making athletes who transfer more than once after their freshman season ineligible for an entire year. They will also require all schools to provide documentation of incoming transfers to prove they have made a bona fide move. GHSA will now make athletes who transfer. Will also require students to send. Oh, here we go. Will also require schools to send copies of driver's license, utility bills, and leasing agreements to prove transfers have made a bona fide move. All right, so the reason this has happened, in my opinion, okay, and I think I got a pretty good one here because of how involved I am with Georgia high school football. There has been a problem. There's been a major problem in Georgia high school football where basically if you have an apartment complex anywhere near your school zone, you got an opportunity to be a great high school football program because all you got to do is recruit. This is how it would work. You're a football player that wants to come to play for my school. That's great. We got an apartment complex right up the road. All we got to do is get you into that apartment complex and at least have a gallon of milk in the fridge. Literally. That was the statute, or that was the standard. If the GHSA shows up tomorrow, we got to show that you're actually living there. So all we got to do is make sure there's something in the fridge, and we got to make sure it re-ups. I would cover football players, guys, who would be playing at school A, living 45 minutes away from school A. And it didn't matter because they had an apartment somewhere over in school A's zone that just had something there, and if they needed to stay there, they could. All right, that's how bad it had gotten in Georgia high school football. So, and it had also gotten to the point where I was covering high school football teams. There were like 15 of them that were really, really good. There's like 150 of them that are really, really bad. You can see this in the wins and loss records of high school football right now in Georgia high school football. At the end of the season, there's a bunch of 9-2 teams and a bunch of teams that are 3-10 and no in between because everybody's, oh, you're good as a freshman? Come play for me. All I got to do is get you an apartment complex. So this is a good thing for high school football. I think it's really, really good that you're at least, hey, you got one chance to move schools, buddy. And once you move schools, that's fine. And I used to be a guy who's like, oh, stick it out. If you're not good enough to play, get better. I used to be one of those guys. And I understand that. I also understand the kid who's like, hey, I'm a sophomore. The guy in front of me that's playing in front of me is a sophomore. I am never playing here. I need to leave if I have a chance to play college football. I'm with you. But you get one of those. And if you get beat out the second time, maybe college football ain't for you, and we need to start studying harder.
There was one philosopher by the name of Tate Martell, I believe, that said, don't swing and miss, especially on your second try. And I think like that's the motto that the GHSA has been adapting here. So
Yeah.
But again, also, and maybe you can shed some light on this. There's gonna be some ways that teams get around this.
Oh, buddy, they already do. Nowadays, I mean, they are scouting middle school football.
I was gonna say they're
They're getting kids in middle school now, where you're a great eighth grade player at Flowery Branch's district. You ain't gonna end up at Flowery Branch, buddy. You probably gonna be playing high school football somewhere other than Flowery Branch. No offense
Jordan
to
Smith
Flowery
just
Branch.
shut down his commitment.
Who?
Jordan Smith also just shut down his
I'll get this.
I don't know. We're living in a day and era where was Jordan Smith rumored to maybe potentially flip? We're just
I
shutting
don't
it
know.
down. We're just letting everybody know.
I
Maybe
guess-
Kirby's like, hey, enough of this shit. Everybody shut it down. Jordan Smith just shut his recruitment down, ladies and gentlemen. But again, that dude just committed 3 weeks ago, a month ago. But cool, awesome.
I mean, I
Needed it
guess
to be shut down.
that could very much be like, hey,
Good thing.
we don't need any more of these headaches. We don't need anyone else.
Yeah, that's what I'm
sniffing
saying.
around.
Are we going to get one of these from everybody? Seven Cloud did this several days ago. Marchese did it
And that
today.
might be the new like just you're basically placed on a do not contact list because
Yeah.
But I mean, they're just going to call you.
Yo, it had gotten to the point, man, it was so crazy where I was seeing guys hit the so thankful for my time will always be a such and such. With that being said, I'm transferring to like graphic tweets.
Going for high schools.
Swear to God, dude,
Yeah.
it's a thing. We got AI nodding head. It's a
I
thing.
mean, there was times where like there was a notorious case. I'm not going to name the school, but like a rival school for us. There were 2 or 3 players that were living with the coach, the head coach of the team that had transferred, just because they're like, hey, we're living here now. Very, very obviously, just like coach calls like, hey, why don't you come play for us? You could stay at my house, and we'll show you yada yada yada.
The gross. I'm glad this is happening because the grossness had it crept its way into my territory, where I tweet out a kid. This happened to me this spring. I tweet out a kid at one school. Next thing I know, like a kid or a coach from a school who does not coach that kid is texting me about or DMing me about, hey, is he really this tall? Hey, is he happy where he's at? Hey, this, hey, that.
Ew.
And I stopped responding. I'm like, what the fuck is going on, man? Y'all have there is no honor amongst thieves, none. All right, zero. So I'm glad this is happening because it wasn't just the players, it wasn't just the parents. The coaches had gotten disgusting about some of this behavior as well.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about all the time in college football the old adage of the rich get richer. That was especially the case in high school football, and it's people aren't as privy to it because it's hard to follow high school football. It's not as big of a product, but there were some prime examples, like you said, of high schools that were just having their draw the litter for whoever they wanted.
And there's some of them that just don't make any sense to me. Some of these moves do not make any sense to me. There is a very prominent one that just transferred from a very prominent private school in Northeast Atlanta. Went from a private school in Northeast Atlanta as a 4-star football player who is likely going to commit to an SEC school, transferring to another Northeast Atlanta school that's just historically really good at football. But the kid had no reason to leave, from my understanding, unless something went wrong at the really, really nice private school. It's weird. Very weird to me, and I'm glad at least GHSA is doing something about it because there are certain programs that violate this a lot more than others. Everyone claims they're innocent, and the worst thing I had happen to me this spring, Kirby, with all this nonsense was I went to 37 schools this spring, and I went to one school and go to another one and go to another one, and all these high school coaches are doing the same exact thing. Hey, I got a quarterback battle going on. Oh, you do, coach? Let's see who the 2 quarterbacks are. Well, Jimmy over there has been here since 5th grade. He's a lifer here at School A. And Johnny over there, well, Johnny just got here, and we're going to see who wins the battle. Johnny's 6'3", 220 pounds, got Power 5 offers. Jimmy looks like he's already on the road to an accounting degree. So I think I know who your starter is. You ain't got to tell me there's a battle for the sanctity of Johnny's, confidence. You know what I mean? But that's happening all over the place.
I don't know if they're like released full details on this. Did they offer the opportunity for appeals? Because you'd have to imagine there's going to be some case where a kid moves twice.
I'm going to tell you this. If this is real, this means GHSA's actually gone about hiring people to run this down. Mm-hmm. Because for as long as I've covered high school football in Georgia, here's how their system operates. Okay, we got this phone right here, right? This is going to be a phone. And this phone right here is the hotline for snitches. Anybody who calls this phone, I'll pick it up and I'll take survey of the people that you are snitching on. All right, so you snitching on school A, and I mark a tick for school A. 26 more people call and snitch on school A, so I'm going to mark down 26 more ticks. All right, I got 15 ticks on school B. I got 16 ticks on school C. All right, we got enough time to go shut down school A. Let's go shut they shit up. And then they go get school A. Mm-hmm. It's always in GHSA been about, who do I get calls about most? You know who it was last year? Bo Walker got screwed by this. It was down there, starts with an S, down there in DeKalb County.
Sprayberry?
No, they're an orange and green school with
Stockbridge?
white. Stockbridge. Stockbridge got shut down by the GHSA last year. You know why? Because everybody called about him. Because guess what? Cedar Grove's head coach left. So Cedar Grove's next in line football coach went to Stockbridge. And guess what? All those kids at Cedar Grove wanted to go coach or go play at Stockbridge because nobody was taking the Cedar Grove job. The Cedar Grove job finally got somebody took it in mid-July. So what did GHSA do? Go ruin a bunch of high school careers for people like Bo Walker? Make them go up to Rabun Gap because they don't play within the GHSA rules. So, yeah, they must have actually hired people. They must have actually hired people to go run this stuff down because normally they've been just going and getting the people who got called on most.
I mean, you would hope so because otherwise it's even more of a shit show now. But
James Cook not holding out?
He's probably going to hold out, but I think there was a quote today of like, hey, James, what are you doing here? You're obviously in a contract negotiation. And I believe the direct quote from him was, I don't play about my money. So obviously there's like fines and things that you're given for not showing up to mandatory minicamp. So I'm sure.
So this is I'm showing up so I don't get fined.
I'm just here so I don't get fined. Literally, probably that.
Okay. Well, that's good for him. Why is it taking so long for James Cook to pop like he has? He's playing his best football, most productive football of his career right now. Really, really highly touted football player as well coming out of high school.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
We had this discussion previous
here's
to
the
show starting, and you didn't necessarily feel comfortable about it.
Well, here's the first thing. He was a class of 2018 recruit. Mm-hmm. You came in that time. You were behind DeAndre Swift for 2 years.
Yeah.
You're not getting reps over DeAndre Swift.
Correct.
Brian Harrion was also on that roster, and Elijah Holyfield was also on the 2018 roster. So you were buried on that running back depth chart. It was going to take time for you to blossom anyways. 2020 was your junior year, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Jay, well, I know you're working, he was dealing with an injury throughout that year. Didn't play as super much. In the meantime of that's going on.
Some hammy tightness.
I believe so. In the meantime of that's going on, Zamir White's coming into his own. Kendall Milton's having an insane freshman season. And by the way, you're only playing 10 games, so it wasn't like the opportunities were abound. And he didn't play in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl because his father passed away. Mm-hmm. So by the time you get to the senior year of James Cook had a really, really good senior year. I think we talked about it, had almost 1,000 yards of total production, led the team in rushing with 730, which is a lot for Georgia running backs nowadays because it's so by committee. So, I mean, it's not that he didn't pop. I think it's honestly just that he was so buried on the depth chart and the opportunities weren't abound to where now you're seeing him have this success in the NFL.
There's also no doubt his rep share right now is his highest.
Oh, for sure. He's getting more burn than he ever had.
Touches per game, it's higher than ever. So I guess it was just a matter of the opportunities and the time. Now, we have 14 minutes left in the show, and there are two really, really good takes to get to. Who wants to go first? You want to talk Gunnar Stockton legendary status, or do you want me to talk about Rodgers?
I want to talk about Gunnar Stockton for a little bit.
Well, come on, big guy. I don't know what that was. Come on, big guy.
All right. So I released this article earlier today talking about how Gunnar Stockton could potentially become a Georgia legend in his first year as a starting quarterback. It's important to note that I say a Georgia legend. This is not me saying that in his first year as a starter, he's going to be placed amongst the greatest names that have played quarterback at the college level. This is just from a Georgia perspective, and my reasoning behind this is, say, Let's say Gunnar Stockton does this as his first year as a starting quarterback, and you Georgia fans tell me how you would think of him moving forward and after his time finishes up in Athens. First off, let's say he beats Tennessee in Week 3 on the road in Neyland Stadium. That would extend Georgia's win streak to 9 games in a row against the Volunteers, which ties Tennessee's record in the rivalry, and that would also set a record for the most consecutive wins at Neyland Stadium for Georgia, which would be 4. The current record is 3, which they currently have right now. After that, let's say he beats Alabama. Would be the first time Georgia has won in a regular season game against Alabama since 2007, and would be the first time since they've beat Alabama at Sanford Stadium since 2003. Now, obviously, there has been a limited number of opportunities for Georgia to play Alabama in Athens, the last time being in 2015. Outside of that, the other games have been played in Tuscaloosa. 2020 was an example, and then last year, of course. But again, beating Alabama, especially now, considering the history between these two teams, considering Kirby Smart's history against Alabama, if Gunnar Stockton were to also do that on top of beating Tennessee, that's certainly something to remember. Let's say he beats Texas for a 3rd straight time this year. Arch Manning rolls into town. He goes up and duels against Arch Manning. Georgia gets the best of them. They now hold 3 straight against the Longhorns and Steve Sarkisian. I mean, that's now 2 times that Gunnar Stockton would have a win over the Texas Longhorns, the SEC championship game last year being the other one. And then to cap it all off, let's say that he beats the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, which would be a record in the rivalry's history for the most consecutive games won in that rivalry. So if he does all of those things in the regular season, obviously that alone, even without talking about the other games, if he does that, you're already chalking it up as a good season, considering that you would feel if you beat Alabama, beat Tennessee, beat Texas, beat Georgia Tech.
See, you got him having to do all of these things. I'm telling you right now, he's already got the truck. He's already got the cows. He's already got the good old boy smile and demeanor. He's already got the everybody counted me out. This dude is a mullet and Copenhagen wintergreen on the sideline away from already being a Georgia legend.
You don't think
already?
I mean, I'm going to offer a counterpoint to both of you guys. He already is a Georgia legend.
No.
What he did in that SEC championship game is going to be talked about for a long now.
I mean, we joked about it, but people are really going to talk about in 20 years, where were you during the Gunnar Stockton drop?
Now, he's not now. He's obviously not a legend in the Aaron Murrays, the Matthew Stafford, the Stetson Bennett's regards. But the name Gunnar Stockton is going to hold weight with Georgia fan base, positive weight, depending on what he does this year for the rest of time, just because of what he did in that Texas game.
If he had a different throwing motion and a fat dip in his lip, he'd already have a statue. I'm telling you right now. The F-150, the cows, the state passing records, a mullet, Copenhagen wintergreen, statue.
I'm just saying, I think that in year 1, he could do a lot of things. He is presented the opportunity to do some things that would have Georgia fans say, like, yeah, Gunnar Stockton, Georgia legend.
Since I've been here, most unanimously likable quarterback that has started for this school. Now, he might have doubts about him, but this is the most unanimously every dog fan I encounter is hopeful that Gunnar Stockton is great. There is nobody rooting for the downfall of Gunnar Stockton. And every other quarterback that I've covered, people have been rooting for that downfall. At least a portion of it has.
Yeah, it was just more me so saying that the opportunity is presented for him to do something crazy this year to where he could have like national title, whatever. Like that doesn't even have to be included in the picture. I mean, this guy would have an SEC title to his name and those things.
Me so agreeing with you.
Okay. I don't know what you're giggling at.
All jokes aside, miso soup's bomb. All jokes aside,
it sucks.
It does suck. You got to dump a bunch of soy sauce.
Yeah,
it's
like
not
miso
very
soup
good.
is
It's
bomb.
just
What are you talking
average.
about?
Yeah, it's not very good. But I like miso soup because I know what's coming after miso soup. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
I know I'm finna hibachi the shit up out there.
I would argue that egg drop soup is.
Oh, no.
Not an egg drop guy?
Not an egg drop guy. I'm a wonton guy.
All jokes aside, like, why can't Georgia this year play their way, execute their way, play the style of offense that Riley Leonard led a team to a national championship game to? Why can't they do it?
I mean, this goes back to my take of saying, why can't Georgia be the 2024 version of Notre Dame last year?
Why can't they?
I have nothing to argue against why they can't.
Hey, last year, there was a super team on paper, a couple of them. Ain't no super team on paper this year.
Nope.
You knew if you were Notre Dame on your way to a national title, if you ran into a buzzsaw, you'd be in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see a buzzsaw on the paperwork right now.
I think that the reason that people are so out on that is of the out executing what Georgia teams have traditionally done is because you saw that take such a drastic decrease in 2024. We talked about it. Drops, penalties, overall execution from players took a nosedive that season to where people are like, oh, this is what the new Georgia is. If Georgia starts putting up 2021 levels of execution or the early Kirby Smart teams like 17, 18, 19, they're going to be a very, very good football team this year.
Our Gates hits the chat with late, but first live show I've made in a while. We'll buckle in because I got a half-baked take for you, brother.
Another half-baked?
Another one. And I like this one. I think this one's real tea leafy. So obviously Aaron Rodgers has officially signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this is kind of late news. I mean, it just kind of hit the timeline, but everyone kind of connected these two all during the offseason, right? Or at least it appeared that Aaron Rodgers was going, if he was going to play this season, he was going to play in Pittsburgh. Not only that, Pittsburgh let Russell Wilson go. They traded Justin Fields. We all knew they weren't about to go into a season with Mason Rudolph at the starting quarterback position. Not when, Mike Tomlin feels a little bit of pressure after not having made the playoffs, at least successfully in the last several years, right? We all kind of assumed that Aaron Rodgers was going to go to Pittsburgh. But for me, I realized today that this should have been confirmed on this channel weeks ago. This Aaron Rodgers confirmed to Pittsburgh Steelers should have been confirmed the day that they traded George Pickens.
Oh, think so?
I do.
All right,
and
why?
Here's why. I'm gonna bring you guys back. I know this ain't an NFL show, but there was a very famous moment last year when Aaron Rodgers absolutely lambasted Mike Williams for not running the proper route. Do you guys remember this?
Vaguely.
And it wasn't even, hey, he ran a vertical when he was supposed to be running a drag, or hey, he ran a corner when he was supposed to be running a bang eight. No. This was, he ran a vertical on the numbers when he was supposed to be on the red line. Aaron Rodgers threw an interception to end a football game, and all he talked about post-game was Mike wasn't in the spot that he was supposed to be. Mike was supposed to be on the red line. He was at the numbers. You have a question?
Do we just fall into the bucket of concepts real quick?
Yeah, we can. Do we have that pin up?
I can get it pulled up.
All right, so this is a good point because I'm talking about red lines and people don't know what we're talking about. So let's go to the board and explain this. Okay. So a red line became a term. I think it originated, in my opinion, from college football because college football teams practice on a football or practice field that also other schools and other sports, I should say, practice on. And when you practice on a football field that also has lacrosse lines on it, you will see a very noticeable red line on the field. So if this were the full width of the field, this is the sideline. These are the hashes. This is the top of the numbers. Okay, there is a mythical red line that runs in between the top of the numbers and the sideline. Why is this important? When we run some type of zone coverage, right, we have, like, for example, cover 2. We have an opportunity right here, a low hole and a high hole. If I throw this ball on the top of the numbers, this safety has an opportunity to get to it. If I throw that ball on the red line, which is about 2.5 yards outside of the bottom of the numbers, okay, we have an opportunity to fit that ball into that window. All right, if I run the route at the top of the numbers as opposed to the red line, we have messed up the route concept. Just that minor difference of an inside or outside release at the wide receiver pissed Aaron Rodgers off to the point where he was cooking Mike Williams to the point where the Jets ultimately had to trade Mike Williams. Do we all remember this situation now?
Yes.
Okay, why is that important relative to the George Pickens discussion? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, George Pickens ain't never been where he's supposed to be. Ain't never on the football field ever, unless I told him, George, run straight down the field to catch this go ball, which is ironically what he's really, really good at. He ain't never where he's supposed to be. He's freelancing. He's playing basketball on grass. I got space here. I'm going to run to it. That's why I'm going to tell you right now, as an insider at the University of Georgia, it's why he didn't necessarily love playing with Jake Fromm. He loved playing with JT Daniels. Loved playing with JT Daniels. You know why? Fuck it. George is down there somewhere. We made that joke. That was real. That really happened. This guy plays with free-form football. He does not play with inside structure. Okay? So, yeah, I would imagine Aaron Rodgers and George Pickens would not be getting along too well. No different than from what I've been told, Jake Fromm and George Pickens did not see football the same way. Because Jake is very methodical. Jake is very, my read here, my read here, my read here. Well, when I get to that third read, if you're not where you're supposed to be, I'm not comfortable, okay? Same thing with Aaron Rodgers.
So, just go full tinfoil hat theory here. Do you think that trading George Pickens was a stipulation from Aaron Rodgers before?
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if Aaron Rodgers put stipulations on an NFL football team. No, I would not be surprised.
Would not be surprised at all.
Very interesting.
Another half-baked take here for you. It's not even half-baked. This is a real take because I see the chat talking about the shirt today. Obviously, I'm wearing a Dale Earnhardt shirt. If you haven't, it's almost 5 hours. The 5-hour documentary on Amazon Prime, I think it is worth your time, okay, the Dale Earnhardt documentary. But what you will notice about Dale Earnhardt in that documentary very early on is that Dale did not have a very strong relationship with his dad, okay? Dale's dad was also, Ralph Earnhardt was his name, was also a very famous race car driver, all right? And he dedicated his life to racing. He did not talk to his kids very much. He did not love on his kids very much. He did not tell his kids he's very proud of them. Ralph died of a heart attack, mid-50s, early 60s, okay? Dale was very young, in his mid-20s, kind of like his son was when Dale ultimately passed. But Dale couldn't break the chain. If you watch that documentary, you will notice that Dale Earnhardt himself could not love on his own children, could not show that side of him, and it was completely erased from his kids. Did not have that type of relationship with their dad because Dale didn't have that type of relationship with his dad. All right? As a parent, I have learned this. Your parents will have flaws. Your job as a parent is to break whatever chain of flaws your family has. All right, so you better find that. If it's addiction, if it's distance from your kids, if it's an inability to talk to your significant other, whatever the chain of issue in your family is, if you don't identify and break it, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, in my opinion. No matter how great you are, no matter if you're the greatest race car driver to ever exist, if you don't break the chain, you didn't do it. Break your chain. All right, I love you guys. Appreciate you for being here. We'll see you on